The main character wakes up in bed and wonders if it's already morning. She sits up and realizes her whole body aches. After which, she keeps wondering if she really fell asleep drunk and where she is anyway, because she hears the sounds of water, but there is no rain. And after that, the lady looks at her body and sees several red spots. After which, she becomes completely embarrassed. The lady is shocked, wondering what happened. Of course, it didn't start yesterday, but long before that. More precisely, a week ago, when she was reading this novel. That day, the lady finally paid off all her student debts. And to celebrate, I spent 41 on fried chicken, beer, and a book called The Sign of Devastation and Its Aftermath. This story is about a man whose body is covered in scars but who is incredibly wealthy. Slowly fading, he destroys himself and the world he lives in. The story then flashes forward to the time when he met the main character, fell in love with her, and showered her with money. Or rather, their romantic time had begun. The lady understood that being showered with money was the best thing that could happen. The book was good, and soon, under the influence of alcohol, the lady fell asleep. But when she woke up, she discovered she had become Amelia Dine, a minor character in the novel. And what's more, this girl was a countess, the only daughter of the knight's commander. However, she is extremely beautiful, which is pleasing. She has a truly stunning appearance. Be that as it may, the lady soon came to terms with her current situation, and she decided to visit the bank with other counts to find out if she had any debts. But when the girl looked at the bank statement, she began to lose consciousness. Her relatives immediately became concerned about her. The girl understood that she had just paid off her student debts and now she owed someone again. The current figures were nowhere near her student debt, so she would have to work day and night for the rest of her life to pay it off. A little while later, people were already in the tavern, and they realized that it was better not to think about such things with a sober head. She knows that alcohol is her problem, and now, sitting on the bed, she thinks that alcohol is the spawn of the devil, or even the devil himself. Now her head is splitting and her body is aching, and the lady is wondering if it was the drink that transported her there. After which the girl notices something else and thinks who she slept with. But she has no memories of this. But when the lady picks up the clothes from the chair, she sees a painfully familiar coat of arms there, after which she becomes completely silent. The girl realizes that this is the coat of arms of the Duke of Child's family from a book called The Sign of Devastation and Consequences. And in this family, only one person carries this banner, Killian Child. At this moment, the boy enters the room wearing only a towel around his waist. The main character looks at him and becomes embarrassed. But at that very moment, the guy addresses her as his sister and wishes her good morning. Amelia thinks that she even feels somehow pleased. But at the same moment, she realizes the whole situation. The lady can't believe he called her sis and wonders if that's what he was like in the books. Meanwhile, the brunette asks if she's okay and if something's wrong. The girl becomes embarrassed by this, after which she turns around and claims that she is fine. The lady understands that she needs to put everything in its place, because now she is Amelia Dine, and he is Killian Child. He is the youngest of 4 sons who went to any lengths to survive. The boy is a duke and also a monster who continued to live despite threats to the contrary. That is why he started a war, during which many people and entire countries were plunged into eternal sleep and disappeared. So there's no way a simple duchess, not even the main character with tons of debt, could have interacted with him. The girl says she doesn't remember what happened yesterday, but it was fun. And since it's already morning, she won't waste the guy's time and goes off to her room. But at that very moment, the lady sees someone's hand stop her. The brunette claims that this is suspicious because the lady said last night that she liked him. The main character asks if this is true, and if she really said that, to which he replies that yes, and he responded in kind. She also said she liked what he did, especially when he was rough. Amelia, shocked, screamed at him to stop because she understood. Killian claims that yesterday his sister was completely different, and the girl apologizes but asks why he continues to call her sister. The guy claims that she asked herself, saying that being 23 years old is wonderful. The main character freezes and realizes that it's time to quit drinking, because either she attacks or she will fall into eternal sleep. The lady also thinks 23 is a good age. When the guy was 25, he started a war and destroyed the world, and before his next birthday, he met his savior, the main character. It turns out that there are 2 years left until the complete destruction. So the ladies apologize for their rudeness and claim that they met yesterday for the first time, so she'd better go. But the brunette asks if she's sure they're meeting for the first time. He thinks it's the other way around. Amelia asks him what he's talking about, To which he replies that nothing, since she herself said she doesn't remember anything. The lady apologizes and claims she must have had too much to drink, after which the guy approaches her and claims that this puts her in a difficult position, since the girl wants to leave only because she does not remember anything about the previous night. But he remembered every detail. Amelia was shocked and realized she thought he wouldn't let her go so easily. The girl is also afraid that he will take revenge on her, but it's better that way than to end up in the epicenter of devastation. Afterwards, she apologizes and claims that she needs to confess something. The lady immediately screams that in fact she is with him only for the money and understands that she is sure that the guy will immediately come to his senses after hearing this. Well, when the girl falls silent, he feels some kind of strange atmosphere and wonders if she has really gone too far. Amelia hopes that he won't put her into eternal sleep, but the brunette only asks what's wrong with Togo. The main character is surprised and asks what he's talking about. The brunette asks again if this is her reason for running away. Amelia thinks, is this really impossible? And screams that she meant that she knew that he was a duke, and that's why she buttered him up. Well, when the lady again receives an indifferent reaction, she screams that his family is the richest in the world and she says that she only likes the guy because of his money. But then she notices that her blanket has fallen off, and the brunette smiles and says that it's wonderful. After all, he has a lot of money and it turns out she really likes him. Amelia sighs and tells him to wait, after which he suggests they get dressed first and then talk. The lady understands that his body is certainly beautiful, but the course is too attractive, and she's also uncomfortable standing there in just a nightgown. The girl also turns around and asks where her clothes are. The brunette smirks and claims they're in the wash. Then he hands the lady a robe and tells her to put it on, but for now, this. The main character wonders when he even had time to prepare her clothes. The guy insists he'll be back after he changes. A little while later, the lady gets dressed and realizes she had to wear it after all. Well, the girl also thinks why the feeling of awkwardness only intensified and understands that she now cannot escape without her clothes. At this time, the brunette enters the room, after which he approaches the lady from behind and addresses her as a sister. The young man claims he knew it would suit her. Amelia cries out in embarrassment that they haven't finished the conversation yet, and she did say that she met him for money, so she's wondering if he finds it humiliating or something like that. The brunette replies that if you pour it out and like the money, you'll meet to earn more. He also asks if the girl knows that she looks very attractive now. He slowly lays the lady on the bed and asks what she likes about him besides money. The main character is shocked and wonders why he takes off his clothes once he's dressed. And all wrinkled up, she wonders what the hell happened yesterday. Amelia realizes that she must remember, and then memories of sitting in the tavern begin to pop into her head. A young man approached her and asked if the lady would mind if he sat down next to her. For 24 hours, the main character's expression had been clear that he was very handsome, and she smiled broadly. But now, the girl finds it strange that the Duke came to the bar without security. She also understands that she needs to remember what happened in the novel that day, and that the guy first visited the bar. It was on that day that he threw himself off the cliff because the pain was unbearable, and it was also the anniversary of his brother's descent into eternal sleep. So the girl thinks it's just that they met at that bar, and whether he really planned to fall into eternal sleep afterwards. The guy insists that the lady dragged him there herself, so she should be held accountable for her actions. The main character, in shock, asks if she really dragged him there. The opponent replies that everything is exactly like that, because she asked passersby where the nearest hotel is. Amelia, with a red face, thinks that this is madness and does not understand why she is so ashamed. It turns out that she seduced the one she should have avoided, and of course it's good that she prevented the disaster, but the main character should have been in her place, and the girl wonders if she really stole her role. After which she becomes completely interested in what happened after they ended up there. The brunette replies that she said she wanted another drink, so he bought them alcohol, and afterward, the lady consoled him and he felt happy. Amelia asks what happened next, and the guys reply that they then spent the night together. And then the guy claims that's how they started and kisses the lady. Then his hands move to the bow on her robe. Well, at that very moment, the main character pushes him away and screams at him to wait a minute. The guy asks if she doesn't like it and suggests that she stop pushing him away like that. Amelia replies that it's not about that and that you just have to do something like that with someone you love. The girl understands that it's not that she didn't like it, but she can't get involved with the protagonist who wants to destroy everything. Killian asks if the lady really means what. Amelia wonders if she said something wrong, and whether the duchy was outraged by such treatment of a family member. The young man sheepishly asserts that this was an intricate way of confessing her love to him, and the main character freezes in place, after which he starts screaming, asking what he's talking about. The guy replies that she told him what a dialogue with loved ones is based on what happened last night. Amelia screams that everything is wrong and he misunderstood her, and then he keeps thinking, is it really true that the world should collapse because of him? At this time, the young man wonders if this is really true, and the main character thinks that this way she will definitely start falling in love. At this time, the brunette asks if she is absolutely sure, and when the main character wants to answer, the guy approaches her again, and then he kisses him. The girl thinks she shouldn't have done that, then starts hugging him, realizing she needs to stop. At this time, the brunette asks if it is possible to continue because he wants to hear her consent, and that her sister also wants this. Amelia realizes that hearing him call her little sister is a good reason to agree to go straight to hell. Well, at that very moment, the lady comes out of her dreams and realizes that another main character named Vanessa Maybrand is about to appear. If this happens, she will end up becoming his ex with a broken heart, so the main character turns to Killian. Just when the lady wants to continue, someone opens the door to the room. The main character turns to him in shock, and the man claims he can't believe it because children are so common these days. The stranger also asks what they're doing because it's time for eviction. The main character, shocked, asks him what he's talking about and wonders if he was taught to knock. Well, at that very moment, the brunette hugs her and looks coldly at the worker, which frightens him. The Duke then turns to one of his servants and asks if he's there. Hyde immediately enters the room and apologizes, saying he didn't notice. The man also claims that he will deal with the worker and takes him away. The man at this time asks to wait because he did not know who this person was. After he leaves, the main character sighs and the Duke kisses her on the cheek and asks if she is okay. The girl asks what it means that he will deal with him. The Duke replies that she should not worry about such things. After all, he just wants the idiot who convinced her to look like this to be gone. Amelia is shocked by this. She understands that she knew that the guy doesn't particularly care about human lives, and that putting him into eternal sleep for such a trifle is too much. The lady immediately turns to Kyle and asks if he can let this man go. After all, she doesn't think he deserves this. The Duke then asks if the lady is covering for him. The main character, smiling awkwardly, realizes that a terrible aura is emanating from him and wonders if he will really plunge her into eternal sleep. They understand that this cannot be allowed and claim that she was only curious whether he would change his mind if she asked. The guy immediately apologizes and claims he didn't understand her right away. The main character says that, as it turns out, the answer is no, and she'd already begun to think about how to reward him if he agreed. Amelia turned to him, a little embarrassed. The guy at the same moment approaches her and also asks what the reward will be. Amelia asks what he would like and thinks that he will probably ask to finish what he started a couple of minutes ago. At this point, the young man says that he wants to do the same as he just did. The main character wonders what he's thinking. The Duke asks if she could henceforth call him by the name she just called him. Amelia thinks what she called him, and then I remember that they also call the guy Kyle again. The young man replies that this is exactly it, and asks if the lady can continue to call him that. The girl thinks what an unexpectedly sweet request this is, but doesn't answer that since he's asking. She agrees. Amelia realizes she's even a little embarrassed by how happy he is about it, and the girl says something like, "It's called a nickname." But she still understands that no matter how nice the guy is now, she won't be able to call him that in the future. From now on, she'll do everything to stop their communication. A little while later, a servant enters the room and claims to have prepared snacks. When the main character sits down at the table, she is surprised by such a luxurious food. At this point, the brunette offers her to try it, but then asks if she really wants to eat later. The main character immediately starts to devour the food with both cheeks and cries out that now is just right. But as soon as the food hits the lady's mouth, she thinks how delicious it is. The girl has never tasted such exquisite cuisine in her life. But then she realizes that she got a little carried away, and looking at the guy, she realizes that even when he eats, he looks like he's on the cover of a hotel advertisement. The servant says that maybe it's not enough, but these are the best clothes he managed to prepare in such a short time. Kyle then turns to the girl and suggests they change after the meal. A little while later, the main character is already changing into suitable clothes and tells the gentleman that she thinks now is the time for her. But at the same moment, the guy reminds that he needs to be called by his name. The main character gets embarrassed. She immediately calls him by name and claims he's dressed differently today than he was yesterday. He asks if she really liked his look from yesterday better. The girl replies that no, and in general, if we talk about her preference, she likes him better without clothes. Well then, the lady realizes what she just said and wonders if she hasn't sobered up yet. The brunette at this time says that yesterday was the anniversary of his brother's entering eternal sleep, so he was dressed differently than usual. Amelia realizes she knew it. It was a day of sorrow for him, and she's certain her actions affected him quite differently than if they'd met on a normal day. The brunette asks the lady if she's tired, to which she replies that she's a little. Then the ladies realize it's best to say something else, and she claims that she is actually very tired. So she wants to quickly return home to rest, and she has no idea what is exhausting her so much, so it would be worth visiting a doctor. The brunette immediately claims that this is bad and offers to bring the lady medicine, but the girl screams that it is not necessary. She also claims she's confident my house will be much better and asks if it's okay if they go right now. Brunette replies that he understands and that the lady needs rest, and the main character begins to rejoice. Well, at that very moment, she feels her feet lift off the ground and is surprised. Kyle told the girl not to twitch because he would carry her, but the main character asks why so suddenly. Well, she also understands that being in his arms is quite pleasant. At that very moment, Letty realizes that she needs to push these thoughts away. At this time, the brunette claims that he accompanied her to her home and asks where the girl lives. And when they board the carriage, the girl realizes it's just like a hotel on wheels. Bruno asks the lady again for her address and realizes he doesn't know she's Countess Diana's daughter. Therefore, you need to take advantage of this to avoid it, and the lady tells him to just lie down right there because it's quite close and she will come out very close to the house. But a little while later they find themselves near a vegetable garden, and Brunette wonders if she really lives right on the vegetable patch. Amelia understands that she thought she remembered where it was, but only a week has passed since she ended up there, so it's not strange. The girl claims that there was a small mistake and they need to turn right and then left onto River Road. So they arrive at a place that looks like it's abandoned, and the Duke says he wonders if the girl has been trapped there before. A little while later, they head to several more locations, and the main character realizes that this has happened 5 times already. The brunette begins to suspect something, and he tells the girl not to say anything. The main character realizes she knew it all along because he guessed that she's trying to hide her address and leading them around in circles. But the guy is immediately interested. Does the lady really want to go to his house and that's why she's driving them around? Amelia is perplexed and the brunette says, embarrassed. What should have been said right away, otherwise he would have misunderstood. The main character thinks he understood everything correctly then, and at the same moment the Duke turns to the coachman and offers to take them to his estate. Amelia realizes she's screwed up, not only failing to escape, but also heading back to his house. She also wonders if it will hurt if she jumps out while the car is moving. Well, it's certainly better than being with him until the novel's plot reaches a certain comfort level. From a young age, her father, a knight commander, taught her fencing, so even if she rolls around in the mud for a bit, nothing will happen to her. Kyle, well, this time he claims he lives alone, but with the lady he can stay with him as long as he wants without worrying. The lady wants to object, and the guy at the same moment claims that if she wants, she can spend the night in his room because it is quite spacious. Amelia wonders why his face expresses so much hope and whether she should stay the night in the spacious room. She wonders if he's fallen in love. Well, he thinks that according to the plot of the novel, Kyle avoided women until he met the main character, and all this because of the status of the Duke. That's why the girl thinks that last night impressed him so much and she doesn't remember anything. But did he really like it? Kyle asks the girl if she's comfortable, and she asks what he's talking about. He hesitates a bit, but at that moment the carriage turns, and the main character suddenly leans on him. The girl immediately cries out in apology. Well, the guy just puts her on his knee and claims that everything is fine and that the lady can lie down if she is comfortable. Amelia realizes that it is really comfortable and she didn't know that lying on someone's lap was so cozy. Ingy Brunette tells her not to fidget unless she wants to seduce him. The main character asks what he is talking about, and the brother replies that it is still some time to get to the estate, and this carriage is his property, so he can do whatever he wants there. The girl immediately stands up and becomes embarrassed. The lady wonders if there's anything strange about her living there. A short time later, they arrive at the estate. When the girl steps out of the carriage, Tony can contain his admiration. She bets that the road from the main gate to the entrance to the estate will take half a day, and she was counting on escaping at night. But she is afraid that she will simply get lost there. At this time, the brunette asks if she likes it, and the girl replies that she doesn't think she'll be able to get bored in such a beautiful estate, even if she stays there for a couple of days. Kyle asks if she is talking about a few days. The girl replies that if she stays for a long time, she will cause inconvenience to him and the servants. But the brunette replies that nothing of the sort is possible and asks if the servants agree. The workers immediately ask the lady to stay with them for as long as she wishes. A little while later, they go inside, and the brunette invites his sister to go further. The estate workers are immediately shocked by the master calling the girl sister and hugging her. The girl is a little surprised by this reaction and thinks, why is the character who seemed so busy in the dialect novel so carefree? But his servants are waiting to report all the news to him, and the lady tells the master that he has a lot to do, so she thinks she better leave quickly. The brunette asks where she wants to go. The main character replies that she thought he would be busy. Kyle replies that it's not like that at all and invites his sister to sit down for a minute. He also addresses the servants, and he says that everyone has 30 seconds to say what they want. The Alinas immediately line up. One of them reports that a trading company has sent them a contract, and most of their products are estimated to be Celtic goods. The brunette replies that he'll review it and that the guy should gather the necessary documents and bring them to his office, after which he tells the next one to come forward and accepts more candidates. The main character thinks how much money he distributed in just 1 second, and when the brunette finishes, he turns to the lady. He says that he's finished and asks if she's upset. The main character wonders why she should be upset, but the guy claims that he saw her watching him closely. Amelia realizes that she didn't even realize it, and the guy is so attractive at work. The brunette claims he'll show her his room, where she'll be staying for the next couple of days. Amelia asks what he's talking about, and the guy replies that of course it's about his room, and last night the lady dragged him into the room, so now it's his turn. Amelia thinks about how to respond to this, after which she claims that this is too much, but the young man replies that there are no more available rooms. Amelia asks if this is true, and as they walk down the hallway, she wonders what's going on with all these rooms. One of the maids claims that they have many rooms, but it is impossible to stay in them, and another servant confirms her words and claims that they are already occupied. It is also not safe to be alone, so let the lady always be near the Duke. The main character realizes that the tour of the Duke's estate has continued. A little while later, they had a grand dinner, and the girl felt a little awkward and was also wondering how she could get out of there. Meanwhile, the brunette asks the lady if she liked the food, to which she replies that yes, it was quite tasty. She also understands that, unfortunately, she won't get to try it again. But things can't go on like this any longer. The lady sits down on the bench and sighs. Kyle also asks how she is feeling, and the girl replies that she seems to have developed a fever after the walk. She also wants to take a shower and go rest. The brunette is a little embarrassed by these words. After which, he orders the servants to take the lady to the bathroom and help her. Well, then, the main character turns to him again and asks if he will wait for her in the bedroom like an obedient boy. Kyle's face turns tomato from these words, after which the guy replies that yes, and the main character thinks that this is great, because the mission is accomplished. A little while later, she approaches the bath and asks one of the servants if she could prepare some oil that the Duke would like. Remember how they don't listen to my lady's sister? And when she leaves, the main character wonders if they really think that little sister is her new name. Well, then the girl realizes that it doesn't matter and tells another maid that she is thirsty. The maid replies that she understands and will stop to let the lady get a refreshing drink. And when she leaves, the main character immediately puts her dress back on and opens the window. The girl thinks it's a good thing the guest room is on the first floor. Then Letty also turns around and looks at the letter she left. The lady runs away and says goodbye to the rich gentleman, the main character, who is doomed to fall into eternal sleep. A short time later, a servant enters the Duke's room and begs for forgiveness. He claims that while the maids were away, the lady had escaped. A week has passed since then, and when Amelia ran away, leaving a letter who wrote that she sincerely hoped that the master would be able to forgive her. They belong to different worlds, so they are not suitable for each other. And she also wants to apologize for the fact that his intentions were not pure. The lady also wrote that she would pray that one day he would meet his true love. The guy wonders if she is talking about true love after leaving him in such a cruel way. It was she who brought him to the hotel back then. The girl laid him down on the bed, and the brunette never wanted to object. The lady just kept saying how handsome he is, and she can't even stop looking at him, so she asks him to grab her like a sister at least once. Kyle asked Lady Dane to go to bed because, judging by how much she drank, he doubts that the lady is in her right mind and let her stop saying that the older species, in fact, she was born only a month earlier. The main character was surprised and asked how he knew since they were meeting for the first time. The guy then asked if she always brought men she met for the first time to the hotel. Well, the main character insisted that it was okay for her to just lie there and let the guy trust her. The young man realizes that he doesn't have a habit of taking a girl for one night, after which he thinks why he went after her. The main character at this time only smiles, after which the brunette understands that there is some meaning in this after all. The lady probably doesn't remember, but they first met 10 years ago. Back then, someone claimed that classes for the heirs would be held at Child Bank, under the direction of the bank's director. Then the young man asked the servant how long it would take him to walk, to which he replied that it would take 2 hours, and that evening there would be a dinner at Countess Mainz's house. A short time later, they had already arrived at the main building of the child bank. One of the men in the small park wondered if this was all their debts now. He also claimed that the man had fled without paying his debts. The main character, who was 14 years old at the time, turned to her father. The Duke was getting out of the carriage at that time and heard the man claim that he had thoughtlessly acted as his guarantor. The servant approached the Duke and claimed that this was the family of Count Dane. They acted as guarantor. For his friend, he left his property and lands donated by the Emperor as collateral. The young lady's mother insists it's just money, and if it's gone, it doesn't matter, since no one was hurt and Amelia is healthy. Since they're not family, they'll handle it together. The little girl insisted that her mother was right, because together they were strong. The man then turned to his daughter, almost in tears, and then he hugged her completely. The Duke, passing by, realized that he didn't care. As the heir to the Duke's family, he was taught to ignore any trivialities such as feelings of envy or jealousy. The 7-year-old boy turned to his father, but the man turned coldly towards him and insisted that he should be called father and not dad. This burning bitterness in his heart always made him look back into the past, but he did not know what exactly he was looking for there. However, this girl, the meeting with whom was so short that memories of her tend to melt away, it keeps popping into his head, making his heart beat faster. A few days later, someone informs the Duke that the royal family is asking for additional funding. The man asks how much they need this time, but at that moment, he sees a lady in front of him with her parents. The servant claims that this is the family of Count Dane, and they have not seen them for a long time, because due to existing debts, they are not allowed into the palace. At this time, the lady's mother apologizes to her, and her father claims that he is terrible because it is because of him that the girl is forced to suffer so much. The main character says that it's okay because she's sure that one day they will pay off all their debts. The amount there is, of course, astronomical in size, but step by step they will cope, and the lady thinks that she once managed to get out of the debt hole, so she will succeed again. She also says that at least they are all healthy, so they haven't lost anything worthwhile. The brunette, watching all this, is a little surprised and realizes that the girl has grown so much since the last time he saw him. And only after their second meeting did he realize that the feeling he had experienced that day when he was a child was precisely envy. He, who was the only heir to the Duke's family, could not break through the wall to these bright feelings of warmth and comfort. Even in that backwater bar when the lady was clearly not herself, could he have pushed her away on the night he decided to jump off the cliff? And in return, he wanted to beg her for a stupid request to take him to her world, although he could not even imagine that the lady would drag him to the hotel. Well, to tell the truth, he liked it, and that feeling was even much more than just a simple liking. The brunette understood that he was doing something that was not typical for him, so when a week ago he was informed about the lady's escape, he thought that it was time to stop fooling around. Although he still misses her and let the girl go, knowing that now his heart is not under his control, it was Amelia who made him like this. But then she said that they weren't right for each other. After which the guy smiles and understands that this is their common problem. He realized that he couldn't refuse her, so what was he waiting for? The brunette turned to one of the servants. He understands that since they are not suitable for each other, they just need to make sure that they are suitable. The brunette asks where Amelia is now, and he replies that she ran away to her home a week ago and seems to be sick. The man immediately jumps up from his seat and cries out, "Why the servant didn't tell him about this earlier?" But then the young man calms down and claims that it is his own fault for leaving her alone and that he will go to her tomorrow. The ward asks the gentleman if he should prepare something for him, to which his interlocutor replies that he should prepare medicine and let him also bring the girl's favorite things. The servant asks what they are, and the Duke replies that the girl said that she loves money, so let him prepare gold bars and jewelry. And also, let him prepare a suit for him for tomorrow that's easy to take off. The boy understands that the lion of the child family will never back down until she gets what she wants. The main character lies in bed for a while, coughing. The lady wonders why she felt herself in the body of the count's daughter, who is burdened with debts, since she cannot even go to the hospital. And maybe it's worth spending money on an emergency visit to a healer. At this moment, someone calls for a lady. The main character wonders what is going on since they no longer have servants, and why is it so noisy there? When the girl goes down the stairs, she suddenly sees some people, one of whom asks if they checked everything there. At this time, the lady's mother turns to her husband and asks what they will do now. The main character, shocked, realizes they're sealing the property. Amelia immediately runs to her parents. One of the workers sees a pile of bears and asks what they are. Amelia realizes they're teddy bears and the necessary items they need to deliver. At this moment, the girl screams for the gentleman to wait, but he asks if the lady doesn't see that he is busy. Amelia claims that as far as she knows, when the child bank gives money to nobles, it is not returned by confiscating property, and the emperor himself will restore the noble's status. The man replies that he knows, but not in the case of their family. To which Letty replies that he is right, because only those who have an heir capable of providing for the family are exempt from payment. Nobles retain their title even if they lose their property, and if the family goes bankrupt, the heir can still become a politician or occupy a high position. In this case, the right to exemption from payments helps him restore the family's honor. And she is the heir to the Dine family. The worker wonders if Miss Dine will actually go to work. And she looks at him and realizes that when she first woke up in Amelia's body, she saw a large number of job advertisements in the newspapers, as well as a credit policy and guarantee from Child Bank. The Count and Countess love her selflessly, and even when she woke up and didn't understand what was happening, they treated her well, and even though they were poor, she would have decided to sort out the current situation even if it were for the sake of other people. Since she is now Amelia Dine, it is her duty, and the ladies respond that, yes, she plans to work to pay off her debts. The man claims that the lady will then need to bring proof that she has found a job within a month, to which the girl agrees and claims that she will do everything on time, and therefore now asks them to leave her house. Her interlocutor at this time thinks and thinks how annoying the lady's speech is. It only wastes their time. He also claims that he will keep an eye on the mess and puts a ceiling sticker on her. When the main character looks at people leaving, she thinks what an idiot this person is. He simply slapped a printed property sticker on her. The lady's father sat down and sighed heavily. He apologizes to his daughter and claims that because he thoughtlessly acted as someone else's guarantor, she is forced to get into trouble. The main character realizes that the longer she knows her parents, the stranger they seem to her. The lady's father became the youngest knight to receive the title of Grand Master, a title that can only be bestowed upon the Emperor's Tsar at the highest level. And so this great man was betrayed for the very loyalty he always extolled, and is now buried under debt. Even now, despite his title, he sews eyes onto teddy bears so he can continue to be a count. The woman turns to her daughter and asks if she's frightened, then suggests they go to her. The protagonist realizes that her mother comes from high society and is the daughter of a count. Despite all the hardships her father has caused her, she remains as beautiful as ever and proudly endures everything that befalls them. This, in fact, is their greatest challenge. At this point, the lady's mother suggests praying to God. The main character understands that they are sweet and kind, but completely insufficient, and that's just how noble these nobles are. They pray when water drips from the roof but are unable to fix it, and their servant, Peter, is too short to reach it. They also pray when the mice eat the last of their stored food, and it seems that all they do is pray even if it is already late at night. That is why she cannot simply run away and abandon them, and these people love her very much and they will pray until they lose consciousness that she will be found. After which the main character invites them to sit down, and when her parents do so, the lady states that, first of all, they need to calculate how much money they spend on living. You also need to understand where you can save money so that you can use this money to pay off the debt. But they might get sick if they don't eat well, so the lady suggests they earn some money selling jewelry, and she'll find a job as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the woman says how happy she is that they have such a wonderful daughter. And the man asks when the lady managed to come up with such a plan and whether she really studied economics. The protagonist replies that she wouldn't say anything and simply read a lot of newspapers at one point. Amelia realizes that this body's memories have helped her a little. Well, at that very moment the lady coughs, and when the man turns to his daughter, she replies that everything is fine. Therefore, she will go and rest at her place, because a guest is supposed to come to her and let him in without any unnecessary questions. The girl understands that you shouldn't overdo it when you're sick, and she hopes that the healer will come as soon as possible. The main character also tries to remove the sticker, but wonders why it won't come off. The lady also understands that it doesn't matter, and if someone wants to come in, they will knock on the door first. After which she lies down on the bed and falls asleep. The lady thinks she's so ill and has escaped a devastating end, but what if she now falls into an eternal sleep from illness? A little while later, the girl opens her eyes and asks for water. At that moment, someone hands her the water and asks if she can stand up. When the main character finally opens her eyes, she asks if it's Kyle. The guy only asks if she's awake. Amelia wonders how he got there but doesn't have time to finish, and she doesn't have enough strength. The brunette throws his jacket over her and tells the lady to drink some water first. Well, when the main character picks up a glass, she feels weak in her hands and accidentally drops it. Amelia apologizes and claims that his jacket is wet, but the Duke then tells her to wait. When the main character asks what's wrong, the guy says everything's fine and lets her leave him. He also wonders if this is why the lady let him in. Amelia asks what he's talking about, and the brunette insists that she needs rest, so she shouldn't overwork herself, because he won't go anywhere until she gets better, so she should be more attentive to herself. Well, when people ask again what the guy meant earlier, the guy asks if she wants to seduce him. The main character is also embarrassed and wraps herself in his jacket and also screams that this is not true. And also, this was all just an accident. To which the guy replies that he understood and asks how long the lady has been sick. The girl replies that she has had a cough since she undressed to take a bath, and she also thinks that it will sound terrible if she says that she ran away because she was sick. At this time, the brunette wonders if she ran away to avoid infecting him, and the main characters don't think about whether he bought it. At this time, the young man tells his darling that he didn't even realize, and also thought that she rejected him. The girl replies that no, after which the Duke approaches her and kisses her on the forehead. The main character then becomes embarrassed, and the brunette claims that her forehead is hot and wonders if the lady is really that bad. Amelia touches her forehead and thinks she'll soon fall into an eternal sleep, overcome with embarrassment. She also claims she left a letter asking them not to look for her. Well, the brunette just sadly asks if she doesn't like him, and the main character thinks that there's no need for his puppy eyes, because her heart is breaking from that look. Amelia apologizes and claims that this is usually what lovers do, to which he smiles and claims that he understood and also called the lady doctor, so let her get dressed. But when he picks up her dress from the floor, he sees a bank mark on it and asks what else it is, and also why this thing is on her dress. A little while later, the man throws the dress in front of the servant and asks what's going on. The man claims that he will go right now to find out everything and is interested in what he should do when he finds the culprit. The brunette immediately says that he should of course put this guy into eternal sleep, but at that very moment, the main character coughs. And the guy replies that no, and let him burn it. To which the man replies that he obeys. A little while later, the maid brings other outfits into the room, and the Duke claims that he has prepared clothes for the lady that will suit her perfectly even if she is ill. He also asks if the lady will be able to put it on, and the main character replies that she doesn't think she can unless the maid helps her. The Duke immediately, with a smile on his face, replies that he can help too. The main character thanks him, but insists that it would be better to wear a woman's dress. But the guy insists it's like taking it off, only backwards. He also asks if the lady would throw it on over her wet nightgown, after which the main character suggests that Kyle stop trying to make his fantasies come true and turn to the wall. He agrees to this, and the girl understands that she can't relax for a second with him. A little while later, the lady's parents knock, and when they enter the room, they announce that the doctor has arrived. At the same moment, many authors enter the room, and one of them greets Miss Dine. He claims that his name is Paul Remian, and he is the head physician of the child hospital. He also asks the miss if he can examine her, to which the lady agrees. The main character also wonders why there are so many people there and why the head doctor came to treat her. At this time, the girl seemed to hear her parents' thoughts about how long she had known the Duke and, apparently, yes, since he had brought her the best doctors on the continent. The girl thinks that she has no idea how this happened, and at the same moment the doctor turns to the lady and also states that everything is very bad. He also asks how she managed to stay like this until now, and the lady's parents are immediately horrified. The man claims that the lady will only recover if she receives the best treatment and rests in good conditions. And this particular place can't provide them. The main character begins coughing at this point and wonders why she's coughing now. The lady's mother immediately cries out that she'll sell her hair, and her father cries out that no, he'll sell her cornea and cover all the necessary medical expenses. The girl thinks it's not that serious. And at the same moment, the Duke asks the doctor where he would recommend the lady page, to which he replies that it is the best place for recovery. This is the Duke of Child's estate, where the lady will be cared for 24/7 and provided with the best treatment in the entire empire. The man claims that they have the most wonderful conditions for critically ill patients there, and his interlocutor agrees with him, but the main character thinks what liars they are. The woman asks if he's talking about the Duke's estate and if she could survive if she moved there. The main characters silently ask their parents not to believe them, as she only has a common cold. At this time, the Duke says that everything is clear, and since the head physician himself advises her to be treated at his estate, he will gladly take her away right now. But he thinks the Count's daughter will be uncomfortable living with a stranger. Amelia thinks he understands this, but she has no idea what he's up to. The brunette immediately hands her flowers and says that this is the only way out in this situation for the lady. It's to become his girlfriend. The main character realizes that for a second she even forgot. That Kyle Child is a man capable of achieving anything he wants, and it is he who asks her out. So the girl wonders what the point is. Meanwhile, the brunette tosses the bouquet to one of the servants and says that, of course, he understands. That about the days of flowers, the lady will not have enough to make a decision, after which he snaps his fingers. And at that very moment, I walk into the room and see chests of jewelry being carried in. The main character, shocked, looks at this and wonders how much it all costs. And the Duke claims that he can give her everything the lady desires, and even more. The main character thinks about this, but then comes to her senses and realizes that she cannot accept it. Kyle must meet the main character destined for him in 2 years, and even if he likes her now, the idea may interfere with the plot. Afterwards, the lady said it wasn't necessary, and she wondered if the hero really thought she was communicating solely because of this. The guy replies that that's exactly what she said, and the girl understands that it's fair. The young man immediately asks if this means that she is communicating with him not only because of money, but the main character immediately stops him and asserts that it is 100% because of money. The guy claims that means she has no reason to reject him, and if she's talking to him for money, then she should date him for that. And if she's not talking to him for money, then she should date him just for the fun of it. The main character is shocked, wondering if she really dug her own grave and what she's supposed to do now. The ball makes it even harder to think. The lady's father asks the girl if this is true, and if so, he's against it. He tells his daughter not to force herself to do something like this because of his debts. Amelia tells her father that everything is not so, and the brunette asks the Count not to worry because that night, his daughter for the first time. The main character immediately screams at him to shut up, and she wonders if he really wants to tell her father how she dragged him to the hotel. The girl immediately closes her mouth, and her father asks Amelia if this is really so. The brunette tells the Count that this is how it happened, and the man says that if the Duke really likes his daughter, the main character grabs the guy by the tie and tells him to wait, after which she suggests they go out. But at that same moment, the lady notices that her fingers have grabbed the shirt, after which it stretches completely. The main character, holding a tie in her hands, looks at it in shock, while the guy tries to put his shirt back together. And he says that he understands that the lady is sick, but even in this state, this is not an excuse. Amelia, now the man thinks that this is unfair, and what kind of shirt is this? Because it's stretched out very quickly, and the lady thinks that the shirt is really cotton wool and there are no buttons. Meanwhile, the girl's mother says she'll pack her things, and her father congratulates her. The main character, shocked, claims they've all misunderstood. But the two leave the room, and the mother confirms that when the lady is ready, she should come down, and she hopes that will happen soon. The soundproofing in the house is poor, and he's already old. The main character wonders why they care about soundproofing. The doctors also say they'll go and wish them a good day. The main character thinks that they're talking about her. After all, they said she was terribly ill. When they leave, the main character immediately screams, asking what happened to his shirt, since she barely touched it. But the young man only takes more pictures of her and asks if she likes it or to announce that he came to take her away, so he prepared everything that she likes. Amelia is embarrassed and falls onto the bed. The brunette immediately runs up to her and asks her to calm down as she's sick. The main character thinks that it's all because of him, after which she asks him to fasten his shirt. The young man smiles and asks if she really liked it that much, and also tells the lady to admit that she wants to be his girlfriend before he changes his mind. The girl immediately asks why she should confess, and the guy claims that the doctor said that she has pharyngitis, which can develop into an arenavirus that will fall under the code of a terrible disease. If treatment isn't started in time, the main character interrupts him and cries out, "What then?" and wonders how this can be and whether it's not just a common cold. She guessed that she was feeling too unwell to have a simple cold, but she didn't know that she had such a disease, and that if she fell into eternal sleep in this world, that would be the end. After which, the lady thinks she needs to get better because that's the most important thing right now, so she'll be his girlfriend for a while and then do something to make him dump her. For example, she'll drool while he sleeps or eat with her hands. The brunette immediately hands the lady flowers and smiles, after which the main character swallows. She also says it's good and asks to go out. The guy immediately smiles brightly and thanks her. He also approaches the lady's ear and claims that in fact, this disease is also called a cold. Amelia asks him in shock what he's talking about, and the brunette suggests they go, since the carriage is already there. He picks the girl up and carries her outside. The woman's mother and father tell her to listen to the doctor and take care of herself. And when the girl enters the carriage, she realizes that she has fallen into a trap. The brunette immediately turns to the lady and asks what she is looking at there, because now she can only look at him since they are dating. The main character thinks how she can be angry when he makes such a face and everything should have been different. The girl also asks what's wrong with his clothes since she barely touched them then. She also wonders if he deliberately made the shirt stretch so easily. The brunette just smiles and the girl understands that she only assumed, but that's how it was. Kyle claims that he did say that he could give her whatever the lady wanted, and the protagonist of The Unthinkable thanks him, but then realizes that he can't answer like that. And yet, she suggests he not do it again, since there were other people there and he embarrassed everyone. The brunette replies that it's fine, but she asks what if it's just the two of them? The girl immediately says that even when there are two of them, it's impossible, and thinks that otherwise she won't be responsible for herself. Kyle claims that he doesn't like such orders. After which, the main characters are not surprised. But the young man, smiling, says she should take a nap, as the journey is long and a lady can lie down like she did then. The main character wonders what just happened, and it's as if he's changed. But in any case, she needs to get him to dump her as soon as possible. After which, the lady claims he'll regret dating her because she's such a stickler. Well, I really need to ask if she will stick to him? To which the girl replies that yes, she will stick her nose everywhere. She'll constantly pester him with questions about who he is and what he's like. This only makes the young man feel embarrassed and wonders if she's really that interested in his life. After which, he keeps saying that maybe they should spend every 24 hours together, and he'll warn his employees about it. Perhaps he should set up a place for her in his office. He also asks what he regrets, whether he still wants to eat, whether he will do everything, and the main character thinks that he somehow reacted incorrectly. The guy at this time claims that if you think about it, a week ago she told him to wait for her in the room while she took a shower. He's had to wait too long, so he doesn't think he'll get by with a small reward now. The main character is shocked, wondering why he even understands this topic. After which, she completely understands that she must not lose her head and also needs to close her eyes so as not to fall for his puppy dog look. The girl immediately turns around and asks the guy if he remembers that she ran away then so as not to infect him. It would be terribly ill if he got sick because of her. That's why she wanted to live alone for some time when they arrived at the estate. The brunette is surprised by this, after which she sighs and thinks that this means these are the rules of the game. He agrees, and states that the lady's well-being is the most important thing for him, so he will wait until she gets better. The main character immediately rejoices and thinks that this is a victory, and the guy, looking at her, thinks how cute she is when she behaves like that. He also understands that Hyde asked him if they could talk before he flew to Miss Amelia, and the guy asked about what The man claimed that love was like a tug of war and he couldn't do it all alone forever. But then the guy asked if he really needed to push her away, to which the man replied, "Of course. After all, love is unlike anything in this world, and as they say, too much of it spoils the taste." The guy argued that this made sense and that he needed to pretend to be indifferent, but then the man argued that this was not quite what he wanted to say. After which the brunette said that he would go to her and confess his love as if he didn't care. The man was shocked after this and then apologized to the gentleman, but asked if he could explain to him what it meant to push away, after which began a lecture on the topic of carrot and stick. If Amelia had known that the servant had helped him and explained everything, she would have been grateful, and now she can feel right at home at the estate. When the main character dines at the estate, she thinks she needs to be realistic, because the estate is the best place. The bathtub there is so big that you can swim in it like in a pool, and the greenhouse resembles a greenhouse. The bedroom is simply huge, and the food is delicious, as if she were in a 5-star hotel. And Kyle doesn't push himself, so she's just fine with it. Well then, the girl thinks, did he really lose interest in her because they were a couple? That's a good sign. If Amelia had known about the carrot and stick lecture, she would have been very touched. Well, at this time, he asks his servant if he is sure that his scheme works. After all, when the girl was walking in the garden and met him, she didn't even glance at him. And yet he was dressed luxuriously. The servant then says the master is mistaken. After all, the lady is enjoying being in this estate right now, and that's a good sign. The guy asks if she likes it, to which the man replies that she does, and thinks she's comfortable there. The lady will open her heart to him once she gets comfortable there. And the brunette claims that this sounds logical, because the main thing is that she doesn't forget about him. Then the servant approaches the master and whispers something to him. The young man replies that it's an excellent idea and that he should prepare whatever is needed. A little while later, one of the maids approaches Miss Amelia and claims that the Duke asked her to give her a letter. When the girl unfolds it, she wonders if he really sent her a letter, even though they live in the same estate. In this letter, the guy asks the lady if she likes her room and that she should not hesitate to tell him if it is too hot or cold. Amelia was a little embarrassed by this and wondered if it was worth sending the letter for this reason, since she was already doing well there. After that, the girl began receiving similar notes every day. In one of them, the guy wished her a good day, and in the other, he claimed that he was told that she was not recovering yet. He also wrote that he would ask the cooks to be especially careful in preparing the menu for her, and that he misses her, and therefore hopes that the lady will soon feel better. A little while later, the girl is in the bathtub and realizes she's starting to get tired of it. She remembers that in the novel, the guy spent exorbitant amounts of money. The way he is now makes her believe she can change his future. Even though she's a simple middle-class girl, not a heroine, and she wasn't even popular in school. At this time, the main character bumps into the Duke in the corridor and asks if it is really him. The guy, a little embarrassed, claims that he missed her, and the main character wonders if that's why he hasn't visited her even once in 2 weeks. The girl thinks that she doesn't want to respond to him in kind, but it would be rude to remain silent, and after all, they haven't seen each other for a long time. The lady claims she wants a drink and asks if he will join her. The girl also asks if he didn't visit her because he was afraid of getting infected, to which the guys answer no. And she herself asked for privacy, so how could a lady think he'd refuse their meetings out of fear? Amelia insists it was a joke and thinks he could have stopped by at least once. The lady thinks how much she wants to tease him, but the guy claims that it's hard for him to control himself when she's around. Amelia asks him what he's talking about, and she's even curious about what exactly it is that he's having trouble controlling in himself. The guy replies that it's his wish, and the main character at this time tells him to repeat it, because she didn't hear. He also says that he really wanted to tell her about it personally, which makes the lady a little surprised and asks what it could be. The girl thinks that maybe she shouldn't have made fun of him, after which the Duke affirms he'd been pondering this all week since her escape, and for another 2 while she was ill. He thought he was simply interested in her, but now he was convinced. The main character thinks that he turned the conversation in a completely different direction, and the brunette at this time claims that he loves her, after which the girl screams and thinks that she definitely shouldn't have heard this. Amelia asks him to shut up, but the guy asks why. Amelia sheepishly replies that it's because of his words. The girl can't finish speaking and understands that when a guy like him confesses his love to her, there are no options and she herself begins to fall in love. But then she will not see a happy ending because she will not be able to control herself. At this time, The brunette says that he is very interested in whether the lady really wants him to express his feelings in some other way than in words. After which, he begins to unbutton his shirt. The main character, shocked, tells him to wait, because that's not what she meant, and also thinks the guy has gone crazy. When the young man wants to take off his pants, the main character, Yinya, grabs him by the hands and doesn't tell him to stop. The guy, shocked, asks why. And the girl replies that she has long wanted to ask when she managed to say that she likes his naked body. Kyle replies that it was the first time they met and asks if that's true. As reported, he replies that it was a rhetorical question. She also understands that the guy is right, because she actually admitted that he is handsome and his body proportions are perfect. His muscles are perfectly defined. And then there's his charming smile, prettier than any K-pop idols. The guy says that if she looks at him like that, she'll drill a hole in him. He also asks if he should take off the rest, and the main character claims that people tend to admire beauty, so he shouldn't make things up. The brunette is immediately surprised and asks if she thinks he is handsome or at least good-looking. Amelia, looking at him, wonders how he can ask such questions with such a surprised expression. The main character immediately asks what he's even talking about. Since his face is so beautiful, it wouldn't be embarrassing to print it on banknotes. Personally, she thinks that it would be even better to print the face on the front side and the body on the back. And by chance, she is sure that it would bring happiness to people simply by walking around and waving such bills. But at that very moment, the girl closes her mouth and the brunette just laughs. He also tells the lady to look at him as much as she wants rather than think about the money with his image on it. Did she see that she could say that she wanted him to belong to her entirely? The main character claims that she is simply saying that he has a beautiful face and that he does not need to belong entirely to her. The brunette's expression changes and he says he knew it and has completely forgotten himself. The heroine then recalls the first time he confessed to the main character in the novel. He claimed that no one cared who this monster duke was. They only feared and despised him or worshipped his wealth. In reality, no one cared about him. After all, he's nothing without his money. Now the main character wonders how she was fooled, how she touched the guy's raw nerve, after which he screams out that his appearance can completely conquer the whole world. The lady then laughs awkwardly and claims that she wanted to say that anyone in this world would want to be with him just by looking at him. But she herself thinks how awkward she is. The young man says that he doubts that she knows how things are in the social life of those close to the emperor. But the girl is wondering what the difference is. She knows, and the movement... Answer, this will not make him less handsome, and the exception will be the cunning ones there, and at that age, but she is sure that any girl will melt from one of his smiles. But when the main character looks at the Duke's face, she sees that he is still dejected, after which she realizes that it is her fault and she shouldn't have reminded him of his injury. The girl immediately turns the guy to the mirror and tells him to look. Then she asks who would refuse a man like that, and that it's pointless. But the guy is just wondering if this means that she wouldn't refuse him and the girl thinks that he's back to his old ways. After which he even says that he should print his face on the banknotes and that she is no longer so young and will soon pass the age at which people usually get married. Kyle says that it doesn't matter to him and if he likes something, he wants to get it. He also asks the lady if she has similar desires for him. The girl merely responds with embarrassment and says that's not true at all. And the guy kisses her hand and asks if it's true because he wants the lady to be his. The girl's face turns very red from this, after which she covers her face with her hand and asks why the guy is looking at her like that. But the young man replies that she herself said that people tend to admire beauty, after which he kisses her. When the guy finishes kissing her, the teapot after the other one on the main character pushes him away and says, "That's enough." The girl knows how to do that. Is anyone capable of controlling themselves when a guy like that says things like that? After which the girl sits down on a chair and says that it's enough to believe her, not that she was interested in it. The young man says he'll do as the lady says and hold back, even though she doesn't want to. He only wanted to express his love for her. The main character thinks why he is so sweet, and technically he tries to convey that he loves her without using words. After which she insists that she agrees that there's no need to rush since they've only just started dating. And while she's not interested in how things are going, he should start telling her that he loves her, and the main character says, in about 10 years. Kyle claims he'll accept this as her desire to live with him for 10 years. After that, people realize he's smart, and she needs to stop arguing. Amelia also claims it was nice seeing him and appreciates everything he's done for her. Kyle asks if the lady is going to bed, to which she replies, "Yes, it's late." The Duke says that it is good, after which he picks up the girl in his arms and carries her through the entire corridor to the room. The main character realizes that this is a familiar episode. He has done this 3 times already. She herself had physically memorized this gesture of his, so her hands automatically clasped behind her neck. The girl wondered how she'd gotten used to it so quickly, but then she realized something was wrong. The lady also asks the Duke what he is doing and where they are going, to which he asks if the lady remembers that in the letter she wrote that they are not suitable for each other. Well, how could she know if they haven't had a chance to try it a couple of times yet? The main character is shocked and wonders if he's really planning to test their compatibility tonight. She immediately starts kicking and asks where he's taking her, to which he replies, "To his room, of course." Amelia screams that she's not going to sleep there, but the guy immediately opens the door in hunger, after which he throws everything for the shade of the bed. He begins to undress and claims that he would not have let her fall asleep or regret that he thinks that he missed her, only because of the impossibility of saying what he feels. The main character immediately becomes embarrassed and thinks that she will not fall into this trap and will also look the other way. Well, when the lady turns around, she thinks why the room turns off so empty, even though there is luxurious furniture in it. It's stupid to worry about someone without knowing their whole story, so you need to hide this feeling. But at the same moment, it is necessary for the lady to worry about him, and the main character is shocked and wonders how he found out. The guy claims that he is worried about someone she cares about, and this is normal, after which he keeps saying that he needs Amelia, and he always gets what he wants. The main character understands that this is a dangerous moment, but she thinks, why are you now? He is waiting for her consent, and this is quite sweet. The main character also understands that she shouldn't do this, because no matter how much she worries about him or how handsome he is, if she loses control of the situation now, he will rule their entire relationship from now on. For someone like her, he needs it right now, so the girl tells the guy to wait because she feels awkward because she's wearing only a robe. When the main character turns around, she sees a man on foot standing on the nightstand, wondering if he really prepared this for her. The girl realizes he seemed 100% certain she was there, and that's what she seemed to be. After which she understands that she needs to play on his desire, and asks if he could turn away while she changes clothes. The guy immediately turns away, and the main character thinks he wants her. The girl lies down on the bed and says she's done. After which, the guy looms over her, and the main character thinks that he closed his eyes, after which she tells him to calm down. He only asks if this is possible when she's nearby, and the connectors don't confirm that she's appointing the couple with the envelope. Something useful. Otherwise, they risk getting used to another friend if they kiss and hug each other when they meet. He replies that he doesn't need rules. The main character asks if the bass player is really like that. If it were her terms, she would kiss him. The guy kisses her at the same moment, and the main character is surprised by this, after which she moves away. But again, he asks if he can kiss her. Amelia claims that now before any action he must ask her permission and then wait until she counts from 3. The young man refuses, and the main character claims that she sympathizes with him, because if he treats her like that, they'll stop dating. The guy then collapses on the bed. The Duke says that the girl is driving him crazy, and the main character understands that her heart is about to break. She shouldn't feel this way, but this guy is so cute. The brunette wonders why she's counting to 3. Amelia replies that in order to maintain the element of what is very important in a relationship, it makes you eagerly await what will happen, which makes the process much more interesting. The Duke says that if being interesting is so important to the lady, then it can be achieved in other ways, but the girl replies that no, she would like to feel interesting on a permanent basis. The guy then stands up and states that he won't like it and counts to 3. The main character is a little surprised by this, after which she thanks him and also understands that she is almost there. Well, the brunette asks why she thinks so, and the girl replies that if he wants to do something, then she will read it, and vice versa. Amelia understands that she will naturally never get the count to 3, after which she asks if he wants to try. The guy asks if he should just say what he wants, and then goes on to offer a hug. The brunette insists he wants to hold her until she nearly cries and calls him by name, after which he asks if everything is correct. The main character becomes indignant and then completely slips out from under him. She also thinks that they will simply try out the genius more, and also claims that now she will count to 3. The girl says the number 1, then lies down on the bed and says the number 2. Well, she doesn't even make it to 3, after which she says goodnight. The brunette screams at her in shock. Well, at the same moment he turns to the gentleman and asks for forgiveness for distracting him, he claims that it seemed important to him to tell him the news that had just arrived. After all, Miss Claire has returned. The main character wonders if this is the same Claire Child, the only one who survived besides Kyle, and she has finally returned home. Claire Child is the illegitimate daughter of the former Duke of Child. Her first daughter, whose existence was kept secret because she resembled her father so much that he could not disown her. Kyle himself didn't know about it until that day. The man said they needed to prove they were strong enough to protect the duchy's status and wealth, because only the strong can survive in this world. From that moment on, the race for the title of heir began, and the eldest son fell into eternal sleep immediately after this announcement, the reason being an accidental fall down the stairs. Then, on Kyle's 18th birthday, his second oldest brother, whom he had always trusted, attacked him with a knife. After this, the guy locked himself in his room because his heart was the most wounded. Then a girl appeared and asked if the gentleman was hungry. She also insisted that he needed to survive, so that in the future she could protect the child's name. She would help him. The guy then asked her why she would do that, to which the girl replied that this was to protect the duchy, so let the gentleman simply promise that he will not forget about her when he becomes duke, and then she would do anything for him. After that night, two were put into eternal sleep by someone and another by accident. Their father also soon fell into eternal sleep due to illness. Because of all these incidents, the guy was nicknamed the Duke Monster, and the first event he attended as a duke was the funeral of his brothers and father. When the young man met that same maid, he asked if she was his sister. The guy immediately cried out what her real motive was, and did she really want to become a duchess by plunging into eternal sleep and him? So let her say what she needs. I asked again if she was really interested in what she needed, and after living locked up for 28 years, she only had one dream. And that's what she wants: freedom. Now the protagonist thinks about this and realizes that Claire was her favorite character in the novel because of her story. The brunette at this time gets a little angry and asks if the lady will now be absorbed in her thoughts about something extraneous. The girl immediately apologizes, although she thinks he was lost in thought himself. She's sure they were both thinking about the same person, but unlike her, Kyle may feel hatred and anger as well as fear towards her. The lady remembers that he did not abandon her when Stalker stepped in, and they, in a sense, maintained a working relationship. Well, then the girl thinks everything is so complicated. The lady returned from her journey across the empire, and she didn't take this into account. Amelia understands that this guy's past is very sad, even for the main character. So she thinks that today an exception can be made, and Letty claims that she saw him with a big scar last time and then asks how he got it. The guy immediately stretches his shirt, and the main character screams that she didn't say she wanted to see him. Brunette claims this scar was a gift from his second older brother for his 18th birthday. He's also certain he intended to leave a much larger scar, but the plan failed. The scar becomes inflamed every birthday, so let the lady consider it an unforgettable gift. When the guy sees the main character's face, he suggests that she not make such a face, because he has a premonition that if she is nearby, he will not get sick on his next birthday. So the brunette asks her to stay with him. Amelia wonders what he's talking about. She's not the real protagonist, and not the one who will be bound to him forever. This is a clear sign of an approaching, destructive end, so it's time to stop enjoying life in this house. The lady also thinks that she will run away tomorrow, and the next day she realizes that she received Kyle's schedule for the last 2 weeks. Today, he has a big meeting, and the girl leaves the room and also realizes that she took it into the water. She put on comfortable shoes and understands that she is completely ready to escape, but as soon as the lady opens the door, she sees a knight, who are wondering where the miss is going, and the girl realizes that she has completely forgotten about the knights of the child house. It seems they are her bodyguards. The lady claims that she is going for a walk, and as always, she asks what it is. One of the knights immediately says that then they will accompany her as always. And as they continue on, the protagonist realizes they're especially persistent today and won't leave her side. One of them insists it's a dead end, while the other tells her there's another path leading to the rose garden. The main character then apologizes but asks if she can be alone with herself, to which one of them replies that this is impossible. Amelia immediately asks why this thing is safe in the estate and whether they are worried that it will run away again. Then the lady notices the knights looking at her bag of water and map. She claims she specifically packed everything she needs in case she gets lost on the vast estate. I also wanted to explore places I hadn't been before. One of the knights said it was a great idea, and since she'd soon become a duchess, she needed to explore the lands. Amelia asks what he's talking about, and one of the knights replies that the Duke obviously treats the lady as a future duchess. He values her so much that he will cut off their heads if the lady even gets scratched. The girl then thinks that they speak as if they would not be surprised if they and the Duke got married tomorrow. After which the lady realizes that she needs to get out of there and throws down her bag and then runs away. The girl understands that the only way out is to jump over the wall, and you just need to trust Amelia's physical fitness. The girl was trained by her father, who was the commander of the knights, and then the lady climbs onto the fence. One of the knights shouts to the mist that it is dangerous, so let her remain quiet. The main character understands that the estate where they put people into eternal sleep is much more dangerous. One of the knights at this time asks the lady not to jump there and suggests going back because they will catch her. Amelia asks if this is true and whether the Duke will not be upset by the fact that other men touched her. The knights immediately realize this and begin arguing over who will catch the lady. At that very moment, a breeze blows outside. When the main character bends over a little, she notices the height of the fence. She realizes that now that she is there, the distance to the ground seems very large. One of the knights at this time cries out to the mist that the wind is getting stronger, so he asks to go down, but the girl replies, "No." At that very moment, the lady's foot slips and she begins to fall. But when she closes her eyes in anticipation of pain, then she feels someone grab her. The man says, "How lovely," and the girl wonders if she's really alive and even wonders who grabbed her. It turns out it's Kyle's sister. The woman claims she looks cute and asks if she'd like to go for a walk with her. The main character immediately realizes that this is Claire Child. Amelia thinks that this is her goddess, and also her favorite of all the characters. Amelia says that she is so beautiful, and the woman replies that the lady is pretty. The main character realizes that she seems to have fallen in love with her again. But at that very moment, someone screams out to Miss. They turn out to be knights, but when one of them sees Lady Claire, he is a little surprised. The woman immediately asks who this nice person is, and the main character replies that she was just passing by. The knights immediately say that this is Amelia Dine, and the Duke treats her like a future duchess. They also officially meet. The main character wonders if they really know her full name and if they've been making fun of her all this time. At this time, the brunette says that she can tell why he brought the lady to his home. She's sweet and elegant, and her eyes are full of passion. Dress her up and she'll be a magnet for suitors. The main character asks what she is talking about, and the woman replies that her name is Claire Child, and the woman asks if Amelia would agree to go for a walk with her. The main character thinks her heart is in danger, and that the charming smile is probably hereditary in their family. In fact, she shouldn't have gone out with her, since she was planning to run away. But the woman at the same time wonders if something is wrong, and whether she is against it. The main character immediately shakes her head as if saying no and thinks how poor her heart is because she has no choice. Let's not forget that it was she who plunged all of Kyle's brothers into eternal sleep. A short time later, they head to the other side of the Child estate. The main character wonders if the lady has just returned from the Tria Empire. The woman replies that she loves traveling because it gives her a feeling of freedom and she can go wherever she wants. After which, she also hands the main character tea from the most famous store of this empire and invites her to try it. Amelia, looking at this tea, wonders if she will pass out or something, after which she takes a sip of this tea. But at the same moment, she becomes shocked and claims that she can taste strawberries. At this time, the woman asks if it's really delicious, and the main character thinks that she's far from a sweet and friendly character, but her heart starts beating faster and faster. The woman approaches the lady and says she's glad Amelia is there. And to be honest, I didn't want to go back there precisely because she was all alone and always wanted a younger sister. The girl thinks. There's plenty of room there, so she doesn't understand why the woman sat so close. Amelia feels like her heart is about to explode. And she doesn't know why, but Kyle's sister still liked her, so maybe she can turn the situation to her advantage. Kyle doesn't like Claire, which is why everyone considers him a monster. And Claire thinks it's his burden as Duke, since he himself didn't dare get his hands dirty. They don't like each other, that's all. If she gets close to Claire, Kyle might hate her, although this plan isn't without its flaws. Meanwhile, the woman shows Amelia a dress and tells her to look at it, because it's the most fashionable in Madrid, a city of passion. The main character turns around and asks if this is true. But when she looks at the dress, she realizes it's too revealing. At this time, the woman is wondering if it is really attractive and evening dresses are now popular. In Madrid, they are called look-through. The woman then offers the lady to try it on, and the main character, a little embarrassed, wonders if she really needs to try it on. A little while later, the girl is already putting on a whip, and the brunette says that she knew it. After all, the lady looks stunning. The main character realizes she's a little awkward, but the dress really does fit well, and it looks both attractive and elegant. At that moment, someone else enters the room and says, "That's where Amelia is." The main character understands that this is Kyle's voice, and this is expected, but notes of cold are heard even from there. The girl immediately turns around and asks Kyle how he's doing, but the guy just looks at her in surprise, then turns around and leaves. The Duke also slams the door behind him, and the main character thinks what she did and why he is so angry. It's probably because yesterday he told her about his sister, and now he feels betrayed since she spends time with her. The lady realizes she's at fault and needs to change, after which she asks for forgiveness. Claire insists everything is fine, so let Lello follow him. It seems the Duke isn't feeling well, and she only asks to visit her again. The woman realizes she's never seen her brother like this before, and perhaps she should have stayed in the capital for a while since dear Amelia is already there. A little while later, the main character runs down the street and doesn't even notice how she tears her dress. A little while later, she bursts into the Duke's room and sees him sitting in front of the window. The girl immediately hugs him tightly and apologizes. She claims that she is to blame for reminding him of the past and asks how she can make amends. When a guy doesn't answer, the lady wonders if he's really that angry that he doesn't want to talk. At this time, the brunette only tells her to kiss him and the main character is surprised, after which she agrees and asks if he will really feel better then. At this time, the brunette just starts counting to 3, and when he reaches the end, then the main character sees his smile and claims that she thought he was angry. The guy replies that actually, considering how many men saw her on the way there, Amelia asks if he wasn't upset, but the brunette asks why. The girl thinks that she made it up herself. At least she doesn't have to worry anymore, and the girl sighs and says that this is great because she was already afraid that she had hurt him. The brunette asks if she really ran from there because she thought he was angry when he saw her with his sister, and she continues to run away from him, even though she makes it clear she wants to stay. Amelia wonders if her desire to escape was really so obvious. The lady also has no idea why she was so worried about his well-being, and she ran there without paying attention to the fact that her shoes were rubbing her feet. The dress is torn, and now the girl thinks it's pretty painful. Meanwhile, the brunette sits the lady down on the windowsill, and he says that he doesn't like Claire, but he doesn't mind if they have fun together while he's away. The main character realizes that he is stronger than she thought about your logs this time. She asks if she didn't notice how her shoes rubbed her feet, and she was so worried about him. The brunette says that, to be honest, he doesn't like the dress Claire gave her. The main character asks what's wrong with Togo. After that, the guy starts rubbing the lady's dress. He also tells her to figure out for herself what he wants to do. Amelia cries out that it's a gift, but the guy says it's already torn anyway. He had also prepared gifts for her, but didn't the lady see them on her way there? The main character realizes that she was lost in her thoughts, but she remembers a certain pile of gifts and wonders if they are all for her. The brunette says he didn't know what the lady would like, so he brought a bunch of different ones. Amelia thinks she understands he's rich, but this is too much. After which, she yells at him that he shouldn't have bought her so much and asks if that means he's going to need the gift, but it's not there. Amelia thinks that's not what she meant, but she doesn't understand. Does he really not like this dress? After which the lady asks if this dress doesn't suit her. The brunette only gets embarrassed by this, and the girl realizes that he has that expression on his face again. Kyle then asks if she was interested in why he blushed and avoided her. Amelia replies that she thought he did something and probably didn't want to see his sister's gift on her. The guy responds to this by claiming that the lady looks too attractive in this dress and it drives him crazy. She didn't have the strength to run, and besides, they'd counted to 3. The main character asks if he was really waiting for her to catch her breath, and the guy replies that otherwise it wouldn't last long and he was waiting for this moment, so he wanted to stretch it out. When the girl wants to say something else, she turns to Kyle, but he says that she can finish her sentence later. Amelia wonders what later means and how long it will last, but it would be nice if time stood still now. When the guy moves away, the main character thinks why he stopped because it was so nice. But she knew she should have run away from him. The Duke says the question written all over her face is why they didn't continue, and she thinks that if he knew, why stop? At this time, the brunette asks if she wants more, And the lady replies that she wants a little bit and no more. Well, the guy replies that he thinks not, and the girl asks when she said that. Kyle claims that she was pushing him away all this time, and the main character realizes that she didn't even notice how she was eating his jacket. She was probably subconsciously worried about what would happen to her life if things continued like this. At this time, the Duke draws attention to the lady's hands and says that she has pale skin, after which he offers to say whether there is a reason why she pushes him away. The girl thinks what to answer to this, because if he had not been self-destructive, she would have locked herself in a room with him for a couple of days. But she can't answer like that, and the brunette at this time says that perhaps she didn't like their first time. But the girl immediately exclaims that she really liked him. The lady exclaims, "What kind of nonsense is this?" and let him apologize to the Kyle of the past. After all, how could she not like him when he tried so hard, and how could the Duke be so insecure? Well, at that very moment, the lady gets embarrassed and thinks why she doesn't think before saying something. The brunette takes off his jacket and says that this is why the lady has caught a cold. He throws a jacket on her. The girl screams that she had to constantly take cold showers when she returned home to drive away thoughts of him. Kyle says that he is even interested in what exactly the lady was thinking about, and the girl understands that it would be easier to just keep quiet. The Duke kisses the woman on the forehead and asks if she is still thinking about those things. But the girl thinks, how could it be otherwise? He's so attractive and sweet and all that. However, she insists she won't even think of answering. The lady thinks he's too sweet for the one who must destroy everything. And the brunette insists that if she hopes to sleep peacefully tonight, she should stop touching him. Amelia immediately removes her hands and claims she was just playing with his hair. The young man says there's no need to smile so joyfully with dimples on your cheeks. The main character immediately asks why he suddenly has so many restrictions. The guy replies that he's talking about the same thing and that they're officially a couple. So maybe the lady will at least tell why she continues to push him away. But at that very moment, the brunette guesses something about the girl and thinks that his facial expression is putting her into a stupor. At this time, the Duke grabs the lady by the hand and then asks if this is what she wanted. The girl immediately tells the man that she can say that first he should ask her permission to ask how he can take her hand and cross his fingers. The brunette claims that he remembers, but now the matter is different, and Letty should have said earlier that she would like more innocent joys. Amelia asks what he's talking about and how it relates to him taking her hand. The guy says he'll call a craftsman tomorrow and the lady can choose what she likes. Amelia asks what exactly, to which the guy replies that he is choosing engagement rings for their engagement ceremony, and if he wants these, he can also choose a wedding ring. Amelia was shocked by this and thought it must be a dream. And then the next morning, she woke up and the dream continued. One of the maids turns to the lady and states that it is time to choose shoes. The girl realizes he didn't forget to remind her about it that morning either. The brunette insisted he needed to go to town on imperial business and she should sleep and then pick out engagement rings for them. Now the main character thinks that she has a headache and then sighs. The maid asks if the lady doesn't like this headlight, to which the main character replies, "Don't answer, they're not beautiful." Amelia, looking at the shoes, understands that they are all beautiful, but she wonders how much it all costs and whether she could have afforded them when she was a student. The Duke's gifts seemed excessive to her, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. The main character says they think they're not removing goods from stores, but at the same moment, the main character notices another dress. Reeves screams, "What is this?" At this time, the maid wonders if the lady doesn't know Fairmont Victoria's secret, because he is a very famous lingerie brunette. He thinks that's not what makes this dress so attractive. I'm also wondering how they made that translucent layer, and why is there fur on it? The main character thinks he won't like Claire's gift and hopes he won't ask to wear it. Amelia tries to calm down and asks if she should take a break, because she didn't think that you could find out by opening gifts. Claire says the lady is as sweet today as ever, and the main character says the lady has said this more than 100 times today. The girl understands that in the novel, the brunette liked being there, so why does she keep coming and sitting with her for hours? Amelia asks why the lady thinks she's cute, and the woman replies that it's because of her behavior. Seeing how a lady reacts to things makes you want to tease her even more, and she never gets tired of looking at the expression on her face at such moments, which is why she considers her cute. Amelia realizes she wasn't expecting such a detailed explanation, and it's embarrassing. And overall, it sounded like the lady was having fun. At this point, the woman turns to the girl and tells her that the artisans she'll be choosing rings from have arrived. The girl realizes that finally, this is the right time. A little while later, a lot of people enter the room and the girl realizes that she was expecting 1 or 2 people to come. At this point, the brunette tells them to show their work, and the girl understands that it seems like it will be more difficult than opening gifts. At this time, the woman tells the lady to choose what she likes, and when the girl looks at the rings, she thinks that they are all so luxurious. But she doesn't understand why the place for the stone is empty and asks if they haven't finished yet. The man claims that the Duke has not yet sent them the stone, and the girl asks if it will be a diamond or something like that. The craftsman then asks if the diamond is suitable for the future Duchess, and the brunette replies that he is right, and also asks if the lady thinks that Kyle will send a simple diamond. The main character ponders when diamonds became commonplace. Then she realizes that there's a stone in the book that's more valuable than a diamond, and it's mentioned in the book. The girl says he's unlikely to want to use the rare Arite crystal, as it would be too expensive for an engagement ring. In his mind, people will forgive him for saying she's right. The woman asks if Amelia rarely attends social events. The protagonist wonders why she asked that question. The woman replies that just a couple of weeks ago, the entire continent was buzzing about the Duke's plans to buy the Arite crystal at a huge price. The main character, shocked, wonders why she knew nothing about this. She also suggests that the guy might want to buy it for himself, as acquiring the stone would benefit Kyle's business. The woman points out that he already has one such stone, which he inherited. Amelia understands that this is true. The guy is supposed to be a super strong protagonist who doesn't need Arita. The heart of this book's universe is the life story of a destroyed mega-millionaire, and having this crystal in his possession is like possessing a superpower, and it's also very expensive. After all, by acquiring it, you gain this power. The Arite crystal, bestowed upon humanity by the gods, is extremely rare, and likely worth 100 times more than a high-quality diamond. Even if someone obtains the crystal, that doesn't mean they'll be able to use it. Only if it falls into the hands of a strong person who desperately dreams of something, only then will this stone fulfill his one wish. For example, if a person who is drowning says that he does not want to plunge into eternal sleep in the water, then this will be his desire. Then the crystal will grant him the ability to breathe underwater or swim like a fish. Furthermore, there are certain conditions for owning the crystal, since it came to them from bugs. One person can only own one crystal, and if someone gave you a crystal, you will need permission from the giver to get rid of it. In short, if the Duke really wants to use the crystal for rings, she will have to wear it for the rest of her days, unless he allows her to leave. But in this case, she will choose a ring in which it is difficult to fit the stone, so that it could crumble during production. Well then, the main character thinks which one is the most difficult to make because she has never worn rings before. One of the men at this time turns to the bottom and claims that this is an engagement ring of a classic design, which is very suitable for the Duke's family. The stone that will be attached there must be limited in a circular manner, due to which it will sparkle brightly. The main character asks if this is really so, to which the man exclaims that, yes, cutting this way implies the creation of 58 facets, which will highlight the natural beauty of the stone, and many prefer a simpler method, since it is extremely difficult, but he can handle it. The girl immediately smiles and thinks that she has no idea what he is talking about, but it sounds very complicated, after which she asserts that it is good and will rely on him. The lady also asks to limit it to the most complex circular method, as this will be her only engagement ring, and understands that if it breaks during the making, there's nothing she can do. If this stone is damaged for her, she can use this one. To distance herself from Kyle, she said she felt so guilty and couldn't look him in the eye, so she hoped Sir would destroy that crystal crumb and he would be fine. Meanwhile, the brunette said the lady was so sweet in every action, and she understands why the Duke is in a hurry to make the rings before the Thanksgiving banquet. Amelia wonders why exactly until this day and realizes that Claire returned precisely because of Thanksgiving. The woman claims there's probably no real reason and he simply wants to hold the ceremony as soon as Thanksgiving is over, as the Emperor won't allow it on that date. The protagonist understands that he does. After all, in the book, the Emperor is a rather strange character. He will not allow any celebration to take place until his Thanksgiving banquet takes place. Well, in any case, you shouldn't put all your hopes on this, and although there is only 1 month left until the banquet, her only hope now is the craftsman, so she mentally asks him to crush the crystal. A week later, someone contacts them and claims that the craftsman who made the ring has arrived. He asks for a meeting with her, and the knight wonders what he should answer. The protagonist asks if he's really here, and didn't he tell the man it would take him a month? The girl also smiles and understands that something happened, and also says that she will meet him right now. So let the knight bring him. after which the lady thinks that it worked and thanks the Lord. A little while later, the knights bring in a trembling craftsman, and the main character thinks that the poor fellow has damaged the crystal and is now a windbag of fear. The lady says that she was told that he wanted to talk to her, but she understands that in any case she will not let anyone harm him. At this time, the man suggests that the miss get ready, and the girl replies that she is ready for anything. The craftsman immediately opens the box and cries out that he no longer has the strength to open it. Amelia, with a smile on her face, understands that people are prone to mistakes, but when she looks into the box, she wonders what it is. The man screams that the disease just looked back at his best work of his life. Amelia looks at this with disappointment, and the man cries out, "What will the lady say? After all, he tried so hard and didn't eat or sleep. The duchy supported him in every possible way." The main character tensely says it's wonderful, but wonders how much money Kyle packed into it. After that, the lady closes the box, and he turns around and shouts to the men that Miss can try it on, to which the lady replies that it is a ring with an arite crystal and she will not be able to take it off without the Duke's permission if she tries it on. Well, she wants to save her emotions of admiration until the ceremony. The girl also asks for someone to steal it before then. But at that very moment, someone enters the room and asks if the ring is ready. Amelia realizes it's the Duke, but wonders why he showed up now. The man then offers to show him the ring, and the craftsman replies, "Of course, just let His Majesty be careful, because this is the best work of his entire life." The brunette then turns to Amelia and takes her hand in his, and the girl asks him to wait. The guy claims that the size should fit, but it's still better to check how it looks on her, and then he puts the ring on her. When he does this, the main character feels energy on her finger and understands that this is it and that it really is arete. And it's also interesting what wish will come true, because her instincts scream that she needs to run away from everything dangerous. This may even give her the ability to teleport from door to door. While lying down, she will be able to move at the speed of light. Then the lady gives her hand to the Duke and hears someone say that it suits her very well. This voice asserts that any jewelry would look beautiful on her. He wonders if she liked it too, to which people respond that yes, she likes it. The guy is a little surprised and thinks that the lady answered so modestly and read his thoughts, after which he kisses everyone's hand and says he's glad. He adds in his thoughts that he preferred to kiss her herself and not just her hand. At this point, the main character turns around shyly and suggests that Kyle not say such a thing to the new guy, claiming that he was silent. After which, they thought maybe they should ask everyone to come out and kiss her, although they'd like to do more than just kiss her. Amelia thinks this means he's been silent. At this point, he smiles, but thinks it won't work and needs to take her to his room. People look at the poplar dish, and he's actually silent. But perhaps it's the ring's fault. And now she can read the Duke's thoughts. The man adds in his mind that when they get there, he'll put her to bed. The girl realizes she can't believe he's thinking about such a sugary day or such a prominent expression. Then Leo locks his hand and says he's already had enough of looking at the ring. But the brunette says the ring suits the lady perfectly and wonders if he's been staring too long. Your grandma, can't she read his dirty little thoughts now? Although she already knows what he was thinking up until this moment, and now she won't be fooled by those puppy dog eyes. The main character also thinks that if she takes his hand again, she claims that the guy can look since he wants to, because he bought this ring. At the same moment, the lady hears his thoughts that he can't wait any longer, and as he approaches the lady, the main character pulls back slightly and closes her eyes. Renat reacts with a slight surprise and then tidies up her hair. Amelia opens her eyes in surprise and then turns to Kyle. She thinks she imagined he was about to kiss her. The subject claims that he just wanted to fix her hair, but he thinks that the lady will not like it if he does not ask permission before kissing her, and he does not want to anger her. Amelia understands that the Duke is a man who can destroy everything, but he backed down because she might not like it. The lady also thinks that the crystal is really behind what happened, after which she apologizes to the maids. And she claims that the Duke said that she needed to fix her hair and also asked if they could help her with this. One of the maids immediately agrees, after which she fixes the lady's hair and thinks that she cannot believe that the mistress asked her to do this. The girl also thinks how the lady manages to be so elegant, and it is not surprising that the Duke is crazy about her and the lady is both beautiful and attractive, and they almost kissed just now. The main character hears all these thoughts and understands that this is another confirmation of Arite's power. She can read the thoughts of those she touches, no matter how. The maid tells the lady that everything is ready and the girl thanks her. The the Duke asks if she likes the ring perfectly. After all, he asked the craftsman to make it a little faster when he learned the girl liked the design. Amelia understands that he clearly didn't make it much faster, since the man hadn't slept or eaten. Amelia claims that she really likes it and thanks the Duke, who says that if this is so, then maybe he deserves a reward and, for example, a kiss on the cheek. The girl thinks how to refuse after she heard his thoughts. Well, then she grabs the brunette by the clothes and thinks what difference does it make, after which she kisses him. Well, when the lady is about to let him go, the Duke grabs her and pulls her towards him, after which he kisses her and sees that he cannot believe that the lady herself kissed him for the first time. Amelia understands that it was supposed to be a light peck and not a kiss, but the girl also thinks how the Duke kisses well. At that very moment, she hears his thoughts, in which he claims to want her. This excites her and makes her wonder if he really does want her. Amelia also understands that there was one time when she herself felt this, but because the book was the main character. Then she tried not to take him seriously, and the person who was now in front of her. He has his own feelings and emotions. Olesia also hears how he's trying to give in, and thinks that this isn't enough, but he needs to control himself if he doesn't want the lady to hate him. The main character, hearing this, thinks how to reject him now after hearing this. The girl wonders if he is really serious about her, who is not the main character of the novel. At this time, the brunette asks if the lady wants to continue wearing this ring, to which the girl replies that she does not, and she immediately takes it off, after which she asks the guy to help her. Well, when he remains silent. So the main character understands what she said and thinks that it somehow just slipped out because all the thoughts in her head got confused because of what she heard. Amelia claims that she didn't really want to take it off, but maybe she'll get used to it and won't admire it so much at the ceremony. The brunette, at the same moment, asks if the lady is really so eagerly awaiting the ceremony, to which she replies, well, the lady also thinks that who knows, maybe this day will be the day of her funeral. She also claims that she hasn't done anything today and is tired, and he asks if she wants to go to bed early because she has a busy schedule tomorrow. The girl immediately gets ready to leave and claims that she will do so, but when she heads for the door, then the guy grabs her hand and says that she will of course sleep with him. After all, he won't let her escape. The main character is surprised by this, but the brunette insists that they'll just hold hands and fall asleep. Amelia wonders why he continues to be so sweet. After this, the guy thinks that there is no chance that they will just sleep next to each other, and the main characters do not think that he will stop laughing at his own words. A little while later, the brunette invites her to pass and offers to take off the lady's ring. When the main character sees where he is pointing, she thinks why she needs to sit like that so that he can take it off. But the girl still sits down and understands that she needs to remain patient if she doesn't want to hear his thoughts again. The brunette kisses the lady's hand and claims that for the first time in his life, he is looking forward to the Thanksgiving feast. And the main character understands that, in the book, Kyle didn't like attending any events. There is a reason for this. People who want to get the wealth and power of the childs will gather there. And besides, they consider the Duke a monster, so the guy tried in every possible way to avoid participating in various events. Meanwhile, the main character turns to Kyle and asks if he really likes this holiday. He replies that it's only because they're going together. Besides, he's worried that some other guy might steal her away. He also thinks he'll be able to enjoy the party since he won't be alone. He also wants everyone to know about their relationship so he can quickly put a ring on her finger. When the main character watches the guy leave, she thinks that he has changed. The lady didn't think that with her he would begin to rejoice in what he had previously hated. The brunette claims that he is saving the ring until the engagement, and the girl understands that in the end, everything will end with him destroying the world. The lady has no idea what it was about her that influenced him, but he is no longer cold and cruel like he was in the book. Kyle, meanwhile, says he thinks so, and maybe she'll try another ring before the engagement. The main character realizes it's hard to resist how shallow and distant he is from his destiny in the novel. After which, she considers whether she should really push him away since he's not the same as in the book. Meanwhile, the brunette asks the lady if she wants the ring with a diamond or a sapphire, and the girl replies that she doesn't need it. Amelia realizes she wants him to be hers. Meanwhile, the brunette says he's heard that ladies don't like balls and parties. The main character is shocked and asks if this is true, and thinks that she doesn't know. After all, the book didn't say anything about it. Kyle adds that she doesn't like them after what happened at the debutante ball. But he says it must be just gossip, to which the lady replies no, and he's right. the girl realizes she's forgotten about the incident described in Amelia Dine's diary. At the debutante ball where counts and countesses were selling their gold, she fell down the stairs. Now the girl says that everything will be fine this time because Kyle is with her. Lady also thinks that if she remembered this situation earlier, she could use it as a reason not to go. The brunette immediately rejoices and says that of course, and let the lady trust him. Amelia thinks that since he likes it so much, it's the least she can do. The guy says that tomorrow he will begin preparing for the banquet since he will be introducing his bride to everyone. The main character says that she doesn't think it's necessary, but her interlocutor replies that he thinks so. Right before the banquet, the girl realized what exactly Kyle was preparing for as he walked through the garden. The lady realizes she was pushed out to go for a walk. The tipsy girl returns and realizes that drinking wine in the garden at sunset is the best thing that could have happened in her life. A little while later, the lady claims that she is returned and Kyle meets her. The main character says she heard how beautiful the roses were blooming and decided to go for a walk, after which she asks him what he's doing there. The girl also seems very drunk. The brunette says he's from the meadow and is teaching him to dance, because he doesn't know how at all. Well, his protege notes that this is true, because the Duke has been practicing. Amelia understands that it doesn't seem to her at all that they danced, and even less so that the cutter who was the maester, so the girl asks if this is true. She also thinks how the Duke cannot dance. But the brunette claims that this is not an easy task, so he does not think that he has become any better at it even after training with Hyde. Well, he'd like to be her ideal partner. The main character understands that since he's been avoiding events, it's only logical that he can't dance. But still, what difference does it make? And the girl asks if he wants her to help. After which the lady drags him to the middle of the fat of love and paints him to see if she really can help. When the music starts playing, the lady starts dancing and realizes that she has already trained with Claire, who often attends events. When they continue dancing, the brunette stumbles a little, but the main character immediately grabs him. The girl says that it seems he doesn't know how to dance, to which he replies that for now, yes. The lady says that the Duke, who is a favorite of all women, must be able to dance the waltz much better, but the guy replies that he does not need other girls. At this time, Amelia only says that it seems like she is the only one leading the dance and the guy is talking. As he looks at it, she likes it, but the lady still says that she would like to change places. The brunette immediately asks if this is true, and then the lady hears some kind of knocking. When she turns around, she wonders where the butler went. But at that very moment, the brunette nudges the lady a little, and then he grabs her completely. The main character thinks, how can this be? This is a move from a more advanced level. At this time, the Duke says that since the lady wants him to lead, then so be it. And since she thinks he's so bad at waltzing, he should take her to bed. When they get there, the main character says he can't do it. Well, the guy claims that he thought she said she could, and the lady says the opposite. The girl thinks that she shouldn't do anything, but then she also thinks why push him away. At this time, the brunette takes off the lady's earrings and throws them on the floor, and then undresses completely. He asks if the lady will count to 3 this time, to which she replies, of course. The lady begins her count, but this time counting to 3, and the brunette kisses her at the same moment. The main character is a little surprised by this, and the guy suggests that the lady say if she is against it. And then he will retreat because he loves her. The main character gets him out of bed and addresses him again. And then he even asks why he stopped and whether he needs to continue. At this point, the brunette tells her to wait, after which one of the commanders opens the door. The main character sees several candies and realizes that they are intended for contraception. Eating just one is enough for 100% protection. The brunette then puts one in his mouth. The main character looks at him a little embarrassed, after which everyone asks him what these candies taste like. The guy asks if she wants to try it, and then gives her the candy with a kiss. The next morning, the main character wakes up and realizes that, to be honest, when someone tries to seduce her, her strength leaves her completely. The girl understands that she decided to stop rejecting Kyle, but still, she shouldn't have given herself to him so quickly. The lady understands that if she continues to live in the Duke's estate, it will not be very good. And although I am, of course, luxurious, all the servants do everything to make her comfortable there. Well, she herself does nothing for this, although it does not seem that Kyle is leaning towards self-destruction, but she still cannot afford to live at his expense. Bennett pulls the lady close and asks what she's thinking about so intensely. The girl replies that she's thinking about nothing, after which the guy asks if she can't sleep or if something is bothering her. The main character replies that nothing of the sort, but at that very moment, the guy realizes something himself. The girl realizes that he looks as if an idea has occurred to him, and the guy immediately becomes interested. Is she thinking about a child? Amelia is shocked by this and wonders if he really means their child. The lady also asks if the guy wants to get a pet, to which he replies, no. The girl asks why he suddenly mentioned the child. The guy replies that he would be beautiful if he looked like a lady, but it's probably too early to think about that. The girl sighs heavily and thinks it's even too early. She also doesn't understand whether they are participating in a race, since the concept of speed limits is unfamiliar to him. Amelia claims that they haven't even gotten married yet, and wonders why he started talking about a child so abruptly, since he didn't even think about it with Vanessa, who was the main character of the novel. Kyle claims that if you don't go into details, that would make them a family. The girl asks what this detail is, after which the brunette claims that then Amelia would become his forever. The main character is a little embarrassed and asks if this is really true, even considering that she is with him for money. The brunette then says that it's good that the lady reminded her and that she doesn't have to worry about them, because even if he goes bankrupt now, their grandchildren will be able to lead a decent life on his savings. The main character says that she is saying that her motive is pure self-interest. The guy says that he doesn't like that. If she really needed money, wouldn't she have wanted to become a duchess as quickly as possible and seduced him to carry out her selfish plan? The guy also asks if it is enough for her to be just his bride, since he has already repeated many times that he can give her everything she wants. The main character wonders what happened to his character, and maybe he hit his head. The brunette then apologizes for bringing up the topic of children, and he knows that such issues are resolved together. The main character asks how he knows, to which the guy replies that from books like 10 Steps to a Happy Family and 19 Tips for Loving Husbands. The main character is embarrassed after this and wonders where he dug them up. Damn, he says she doesn't have to worry about the baby. And if she just can't calm down, then he will ask her to brew some tea from kabikus in the morning. The main character realizes that this is the very same magic tea that 100% guarantees the absence of pregnancy. And the Duke says, just saying, he's sure he'd be a good father. The main character is a little surprised, after which he realizes that in the book, Kyle didn't even think about children because he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to raise them well and would repeat his father's mistakes. He was also worried that the child would resurrect his own childhood memories. So now the girl is wondering if Kyle really wants a child. The brunette confirms it. What he's really worried about is that he'll be treated too coldly the way his father treated him. But can he really treat the child that Amelia gave birth to badly? He loves her very much and wants her to always smile. The main character then turns away, and he asks what if she doesn't want to have children. He wonders if that means his heart will belong only to her, and he likes that development too. Let the lady not be afraid, because if they have children, he will love him or her, especially if they are like Amelia. The main character starts crying and wonders how much pain Kyle has endured. Meanwhile, the brunette asks what it is and offers to look at it. The girl understands that in order to say that he does not want to be like his father, and that he'll do everything to ensure his child doesn't experience what he almost did himself, how can he push him away after that? So she decided that even if Kyle left her in the future for Vanessa, until then, she will love him with all her heart. Even if he leaves her, she will not be sad for long. The guy's heart is beating louder and louder at this time, and he claims that as long as he is a lady, he will not become like his father. He also turns to the girl and asks if she also pays such warm attention to other people. Amelia says that she has no idea what he is talking about, because this is her normal body temperature, and besides him, she hasn't hugged anyone for a long time, so she's not sure what other people feel. The brunette immediately asks if it turns out that he is her first, and the girl is silent for a while. She also realizes that it seems she's dug her own grave. The lady asks what it is, as her strength has suddenly left her. If things continue like this, they'll be sitting there until dawn, so she bids Kyle goodnight. The lady realizes that enough has happened since tonight, but the brunette at the same moment says that she doesn't have to answer because he's sure that he knows the answer. The main character asks where this is from, and the young man replies that it is because he remembers their first night. The girl wonders if this means she wasn't that good back then, and the guy asks, why is she getting up? The lady wanted to sleep, and he himself is already sleepy, but the main character pins him to the bed. And he also says that he made her angry, so now she shouldn't even think about just sleeping. The brunette immediately kisses her and says that she does too, and also thinks that the lady fell for it. The girl understands this but thinks she doesn't mind. Day after day, she falls into his sweet traps. And finally, the day of the banquet arrived. Claire asks if the services seem to be of any use to them, that ribbons would suit Amelia better than lace. The woman examines the fabrics, and the main character thinks that today she is even more beautiful and her favorite is a real queen. At this time, the woman turns to the lady and asks what she is looking at so intently. The main character comes out of her thoughts and thinks that she can't say that she admired her beautiful face. Amelia claims the lady said she was there for Thanksgiving and wonders if she'll be leaving after. The woman freezes and asks why. The girl wonders if she said something wrong, but the woman continues her sentence and asks why she is so damn cute to pity. She also claims that although she loves to travel, she would never miss her Amelia's engagement ceremony, and she is sure that the lady will be irresistible in her dress. The main character thinks, since when did she become her Amelia, and if she continues to call her that, she won't sit still either. The main character Togo even hugs the girl and says that she loves spending time with her sister. The woman is a little surprised by this and asks if Amelia really just did it. She called her sister and then let her continue to address her that way, to which the girl agreed. At this time, the Duke also enters the room and asks what they are doing there. The main character is a little surprised and asks when Kyle came there. At the same moment, the two relatives exchange glances and the brunette turns to Amelia. Asking if she's ready yet, the girl replies that, yes, it's all thanks to Claire. At that moment, the two exchange glances again, and the brunette says, that's it. The main character decides to take Kyle away before he causes any trouble and invites him to go with her. The girl stands in front of the mirror and asks how she looks and if it suits her. Kyle only swallows, and the main character asks if he doesn't like it, to which he replies that there's no chance that he won't like it. And she's also beautiful and elegant. The girl asks if that's all and wonders why he's so embarrassed today. He's a killer, so she wants to tease him. But at the same moment, the guy again exchanges glances with his sister and remains silent. The main character realizes that she thought she had managed to switch his attention to herself, but they were still staring at each other. At this time, the guy turns to his sister and asks what she will say. The woman then looks at the maid, and she understands that her turn has come. The girl claims that Mrs. Beauty is so amazing that it is difficult to even describe in words. But that glittery ribbon hair clip on her golden hair looks absolutely stunning. I'm sure the lady will shine even in low light. These two are still silent about the maid, claiming that of course this is not all. The cream pink dress that Miss chose after the seven return to it, among others, sways as she walks, and Miss will undoubtedly be the prettiest among all the guests invited to the banquet. The woman claims that she can add that the most expressive part of the outfit is the emerald brooch. And Juliana's diamonds on her chest show the wealth of the Child family. Their color matches the color of Amelia's eyes, which adds depth to them. At this time, the brunette says that he does not understand why no one noticed the silk gloves, which complements the look so perfectly. The woman realizes he's no slouch, and he says it might be a good idea to give her a fan since Letty has applied such a seductive and sweet perfume. The guy claims a fan with griffin feathers would be perfect because it's so soft. Well, when he wants to add something else, the main character thinks that this is all very strange and mentally asks them to stop. The two continue to discuss, and the girl wonders since when they communicate so well. A little while later, they are already heading in the carriage, and when it arrives, the lady thinks they've finally gotten out since she's already exhausted. Claire says Amelia looks a little pale and asks if everything's okay. The girl replies that she is just a little nervous, and the woman says that high society is like a battlefield. If she behaves like this, she will be torn to pieces, and the main character thinks that these words make her even more afraid. At this time, a petal falls on her shoe, and the woman points to it, and then asks, "What will the girl do with this petal?" The main character ponders for a moment, after which she claims that he is handsome, so she will just shake him off. Well, when a girl does that, then the flower comes back stuck to her dress, and the woman says, that's what happens. When a lady lets something go just because it's pretty and tiny, the woman throws the petal on the floor, after which he crushes it with his heel and says that if someone looks down on a lady, then let her fix the problem. After all, simply pushing away is not enough, and this thing comes back, so afterward one will step on it, so that she couldn't even think about returning to her. The Child family would take care of the consequences. At this point, The main character thinks her sister is scaring her. The woman is speaking. That the lady is the Duke's fiancé means that others will know about her every step, and asks if she understands what she is talking about. Amelia realizes that she didn't know back then that her advice would actually be useful to her. A little while later, the main character is again heading in a carriage with the child family. The girl understands that thinking about the imperial palace gives the impression that she is driving into a minefield. The first mine is the nobles invited to the banquet who whisper behind Kyle's back. The second is Prince Berdelbon de Gil, also known as Bertie, and in the novel it was because of him that Kyle started the war. Match Bertie, who was the first empress and the most beloved among other women, fell into eternal sleep when Bertie was born. She was from the child family and Kyle's aunt. So Kyle and Bertie spent a lot of time together in their youth. Kyle considered him his only friend, and after his wife's eternal sleep, the emperor lost his mind and began to persecute Genya, completely forgetting his duties as a ruler. Soon, many of the child family appeared in the palace, and it is perhaps understandable why Bertie does not feel safe in the presence of Kyle, whose family is controlled by the creator. Ultimately, the prince did something that radically changed Kyle. He invited all the nobles to his birthday party, and Kyle's son sent him a letter with the wrong address. The brunette arrived at the appointed place with expensive gifts, not yet knowing that no one else would show up there. To top it all off, the prince and his retinue came there and ridiculed the Duke. The Duke asked if he had never considered him a friend. Well, the prince just laughed and claimed that the guy was just his wallet, and he had to somehow pay for what his sisters were squandering. It doesn't matter how rich he is the prince of this country, and the guy thinks he has forgotten about it, so let him remember his place from now on. The third and final mine is Kyle himself. After that incident, he realized that people were using him for money and didn't care about him. So he stopped expecting anything from others and went over to the side of destruction. He started a war that practically destroyed the entire world with his own money. His goal was to show people what it was like to have everything they had destroyed by the money they cherished so much. Knowing this, the Thanksgiving banquet seems to her like an interlude to a symphony called Debacle. At this time, the brunette turns his attention to the lady and asks if she is okay. The girl replies that she's just a little nervous and asks if the prince will be attending the banquet. The boy replies that he will, and that he heard he was punished for causing inconvenience to his sisters. He also asks if the lady is worried about him, to which the girl replies that he is a prince. That's why she thinks she'd be very nervous if she had to introduce herself to him. Amelia understands that it would be better for Kyle and the prince not to meet. At this point, the guy says that that's it, and since the lady is worried, he can make sure that he doesn't show up at any events in the future, but the lady immediately replies that this is already unnecessary. She also grabs Kyle's hand and states that the world needs love and peace, and people shouldn't start wars. The guy then simply repeats the word love. And the brunette's sister at this time says that peace is good and all that, but they are going to the battlefield. The main character immediately lets go of the Duke's hand, not realizing that she had completely forgotten that Claire was also there. The woman at this time claims that they are there, and when they all enter the ballroom, the brunette introduces Amelia and claims that she is his fiancée. The main character, with a smile on her face, states that her name is Amelia Dine, and she is glad to meet them. One of the aristocrats claims that the rumors about the lady's beauty are not at all exaggerated, while the other says that the lady is truly dazzlingly beautiful. A little while later, the brunette approaches Amelia and asks how she liked her first banquet. She replies that she likes it because everyone there is so nice. After which the guy asks if she could wait there with Claire for a minute, because he needs to discuss a couple of things concerning business. The girl replies that, of course, and that he shouldn't worry about her because she and Claire are peacefully drinking wine there. After which the lady waves to him and wishes him luck. Meanwhile, the woman offers Amelia a taste of the wine. After all, it is their chemistry that spreads it, so it must be good, to which the main characters agree. After which he drinks it, and the woman once again turns to the lady and asks if she has already seen the fountain, to which the girl replies that she has not. Claire says the marble statue is very beautiful, and it seems they paid special attention to the selection of the orchestra. After all, the violin sounds especially good today. The main character realizes that she's somehow gotten talkative. It's as if she's trying to make her pay attention only to her, but at the same moment, the main character hears someone say that the lady is from the Count's family and is bankrupt. Another woman says that she heard that they were not even allowed into the palace because they were so poor, and another man asks why the Count, who was the commander of the knights, became impoverished and how the lady managed to woo the Duke. Her family probably sold her, because the Duke would never have loved someone like that, and he probably thinks that the lady won't bother him since she comes from a bankrupt family. Whatever it is, love definitely has nothing to do with it. The brunette points to something else, and the main character understands that Claire was worried that their words would hurt her. The Duke returns at this time and claims that he had to wait a little longer. The woman at this time asserts that she will go along with this, let them have fun, and the main character agrees and also thanks her sister. The Duke asks if he has kept the lady waiting too long, and the girl realizes that his eyes are shining with love. So how can they say he doesn't love her? The lady then remembers something, and then he turns to Kyle and asks if he wants to dance, since he tried so hard to learn to waltz. The guy smiles in response and asks if the lady wants other girls to see how much he loves her because they don't believe it, after which he invites the lady to go. The main character starts dancing and realizes that he doesn't have to lead because she knows he's not very good at dancing. But as soon as the music starts playing, Letty is shocked and wonders if he can really dance so well. And was he really just pretending before? That's why the girl thinks she's fallen for it again. Kyle asks if that's all she can do. After all, he is sure that Claire advised the lady to step on the problem so that it does not arise again. And if they recover now, people will continue to talk nonsense even after their wedding, and perhaps even their children will have to listen to the fact that their marriage was not based on love. The main character understands that it is too early to think about children, and the brunette says that if the lady does not want this, then she needs to ask him for something specific. The lady then asks for a kiss on the cheek, and the guy immediately does so. He also asks if that's enough. After all, it seems like no one believed them. Amelia puffs out her cheeks and wonders if a kiss on the cheek really means nothing, and then everything is clear. So the lady turns to the brunette and tells him to kiss her so passionately, and as freely as possible. A little while later, they're already standing outside. The other aristocrats watch them and the main character turns to Kyle a little awkwardly. At this time, the guy presses the lady against the wall and says that she asked for it herself. So this time there will be no count to 3. At that very moment, he captures her lips with mine. At this time, other aristocrats tell others to look and become embarrassed. The brunette asks if everything is as she planned, to which the lady replies that it probably is. And at least now everyone thinks of him differently than before. The guys wonder if she was worried about his reputation in the eyes of others, to which the lady replies that yes, and that she took care of it at the same time. The brunette smiles in response, after which he claims to love Amelia, but at that very moment, the girl shuts him up with a kiss. And the aristocrats watching this are delighted. The main character realizes she has prevented confession. Meanwhile, the brunette tells the lady that their rooms are full of empty bones, and if she wants, she asks him what he's talking about and insists that his acting skills are top-notch and their audience will be impressed. Kyle grabs the girl by the waist and asks if she thinks he's acting out a scene now. Amelia asks if she can ask him for a favor, and the guy immediately answers yes. The main character, with a smile on her face, claims that something has dried up in her corps de ballet, and a golden glass of water has been combined. But when she notices the guy's disappointment, she even adds the word, please. The Duke turns around and replies that of course, and he will also be there soon, and when he leaves, the main character sighs. After which he falls to the floor and realizes that their kiss was something special. But at that same moment, the lady realizes that she has a feeling as if someone is watching her, but the crowd dispersed as soon as she sent Kyle away. When the lady looks into the bushes, she sees some woman there who then starts grinning. The main character, seeing this, is horrified and jumps up and starts running away. Amelia wonders who this suspicious stranger dressed as a woman was, and at this time he is heading after her. He screams for the girl to wait, and the main character realizes that he is following her. After which, she even asks what he needs and why he is dressed like a woman but speaks in a man's voice. When the lady turns around, she realizes there's a dead end in that direction. The blonde man approaches her, claiming he's finally caught up with her. The main character immediately jumps up to stop him from touching her, and he wonders if he even knows who she is, since she is the fiancée of Killian Child, or more precisely, Duke Child. The stranger claims that this is precisely why he was pursuing her. He then extends his hand to the lady and invites her not to resist and to follow him. The main character, looking at her, wonders who he takes her for, because she is the daughter of the legendary former commander of the Knights. Claire said that it is necessary to destroy anyone who tries to offend her, so that no one will dare to treat her unworthily again, after which the lady hits this guy between the legs. She also claims that she may look cute and fragile, but she has strength, so it's time to put him behind bars. But at that very moment, the lady sees how the wig flies off because of this guy, and thinks that vodka is such a strange thing. This guy has gray hair, and this color is a distinctive feature of the imperial family. And now there's only one young man in their family. The girl wonders what kind of thoughts these are. And how could a madman who pursued someone else's bride turn out to be a prince? At this time, the young man asks if she knows who he is, and the main character only remains silent in response. And she also understands that the stranger she hit is apparently the crown prince of the empire. At this time, the brunette is in the hall where the aristocrats are whispering among themselves. One of the ladies says how handsome he is. The Duke ignores all of this and then goes outside, thinking he can't even believe the lady asked him to kiss her. And obeying someone else's will is not so bad, so from now on, he will try to make sure that she is the leader more often. And it would be especially good if she behaved like that at night. Well, at that very moment, the player approaches the place where the lady should be. He realizes the girl isn't there and wonders where she went. Just then, the guy hears someone talking to him. And when she sees Amelia, she asks with tears in her eyes what she has done. After all, she destroyed the future empire. The guy immediately throws the glasses, breaking them. He immediately runs to the lady and hugs her, thinking that Amelia said his name, looking at him with eyes full of tears. Kyle claims that everything is fine, after which he adds that he will rebuild the empire. It's not such an expensive affair. At that moment, the parents run up to the prince and ask if he's okay. They also ask if he was attacked by a criminal. The guy immediately points to the lady, and he claims that this girl kicked him between the legs. But he was also given the chance to continue the family line. The knights immediately look at her in surprise, and the Duke hugs the lady and states that what happened concerns his bride. Then he will take full responsibility. The girl immediately hears the guy's thoughts. He thinks whether he should wipe them off the face of the earth and build a new empire. Well, he probably wouldn't like it. The main character understands that he has already put a ring on her, but after all, it is impossible for a war to break out because of her. Therefore, the main character turns to the Duke and suggests that he first call a doctor for His Highness. The man replies that, of course, and tells His Highness that they will send him to Child Hospital, and all expenses and compensation will be paid to him. The prince says there was no need to voice it, cuts it off and asks what compelled him to follow someone else's fiancée and why His Highness is dressed in women's clothing. The prince claims he himself knows he enjoys pranks. In any case, the lady will pay for trying to put him into eternal sleep and dressing in a way that concerns the honor of the imperial family. At that moment, someone else approaches the emperor's young son and asks if he's okay. The boy immediately asks if it's Lady Claire. The woman leans towards him and insists that His Highness needs immediate assistance, to which he replies that he can't even move from the spot. The lady tells him not to worry and that he can go and take it off, after which she actually touches her earring. At that very moment, these two begin to disappear, and the main character is shocked to realize that they have disappeared. The girl believes this is the power of the Arite crystal contained in her earrings. Claire dreamed of freedom more than anything else, so the crystal given to her granted her the ability to teleport. At this point, one of the knights tells Lady Dane that she must accompany them to the interrogation chamber. The law stipulates that if crimes against the imperial family are committed, she must remain in custody until the investigation's results are announced. After this, the main character says goodbye to the Duke, and he asks her not to worry because everything will be resolved in a moment. The Duke takes the lady by the hand and begins to hear his thoughts again. The brunette thinks he'll see to that. Amelia realizes she's even glad she can hear his thoughts. The Emperor, meanwhile, is in his room with the other women. At this time, someone turns to His Highness and asks if he can come in. The man asks what's going on. The entire ball is over and he's busy right now. The servant claims that Duke Child is requesting an audience. The man immediately rises from his seat and a little while later is already sitting on his throne. Kyle apologizes for disturbing the son of their empire at such a late hour. The Emperor says that he is even embarrassed to hear such a flattering compliment from the father of the continent, or better yet, the whole world. He also claims that he was told about the incident that happened between his beloved and the prince. The man can rest easy and basically forget that anything like this ever happened, He also thinks that child hospitals are used to bringing people back from the brink of death, so his son will definitely not become a eunuch. At this time, the Duke says that this girl is not his beloved, but his fiancée, and simply forgetting is not included in the list of laws of the Empire. The Emperor is interested in why he wants to say this, and he doesn't want to send her to the Western Tower, so what does the Duke want to ask for? The guy claims that breaking the law will not save her honor, so he asks to change the law. He also wants the Emperor to immediately propose a bill under which he would renounce his privilege to punish those who have committed crimes against the imperial family. This is the only way she can officially be released from custody and live at home while the investigation is ongoing. The man immediately cries out that this is impossible, because it is impossible to cancel imperial privileges because of one single incident before. And besides, it is completely unclear how the cover-up will react even if the imperial faction agrees. The brunette suggests that he not worry about the aristocracy. All that is required of him is to propose a bill. The man thinks that this is true, but the tempera faction is people close to the emperor by order of child, and the aristocratic faction is people elected by representatives of the aristocracy by order of child. Both are subservient to him, so Garnet says it's also an imperial privilege. He understands that there's a reason why Kilian Child, who controls the entire empire, didn't take the throne himself. The brunette asks His Majesty if he thinks his child will be as beautiful as his bride. The problem was precisely procreation, as Kilian had previously had no desire to have children. But now the Duke says that imperial privileges mean nothing if there is no imperial family. The man immediately rises from his throne and shouts that he will propose a bill right now, and let the Duke assemble a cabinet of representatives. At this time of year, powerful figures in prison ask Lady Amelia for at least a piece of revenge. It hurts her to see how what happened made her angry. Another maid claims the head chef prepared a milkshake especially for her. The main character wonders if this is really a detention cell and not the rooms of the estate, and she was only there for 3 hours. At that moment, the Duke enters the room and asks if the lady is all right. When he touches her, she listens to his thoughts. The lady looks exhausted, so they need to let her rest at their estate. The brunette apologizes for being late, and the main character says it's only been a few hours and she's very comfortable there. Kyle says he's glad to hear it, but now everything's packed, so they can go home. Amelia insists she can't go home with him. At that very moment, the guy, shocked, asks her what she's talking about. He's also wondering why all of a sudden. And did the lady not like their kisses, or did he say something to her? The servant tells the master that while the investigation is ongoing, the lady must remain at home, so he brought the one who will accompany her to the Dain house. The brunette thinks that this is outrageous and he cannot act as a member of his family. So they need to get engaged as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the main character thinks that events are unfolding extremely quickly. A short time later, someone announces that Count Dine has arrived. The man immediately asks his daughter if she's okay, to which he replies, "Yes, Kyle will take care of her." The lady also hears her father's thoughts about how this damned prince dared to offend his precious hand by dressing up as a woman, and yet he shouldn't have let her go to Duke Child. After all, he's not her equal. The main character thinks her father overestimates her. At this time, the man looks at the lady's hand and asks what kind of ring it is, to which the girl replies that it is an engagement ring from the Duke. The man at that moment screams out what she is talking about and then turns to Kyle. The brunette smiles in response, and the lady's father wonders if it's from that spoiled Duke. Kyle realizes something tells him the lady's father thinks of him as worthless. At this time, the man wonders if he really dared to put an engagement ring on his daughter without even getting his blessing. Well, the main character thinks that Kyle sent her family a letter saying they were now a couple. Meanwhile, the man approaches one of the servants and asks if he can have a moment. The man whispers to the servant what is going on and whether his daughter is really engaged, but his interlocutor asks how the Count, you see, sent them a return letter saying that he was happy with the news. The man is shocked and wonders if his wife didn't tell him and did all this secretly. The servants reply that if it were up to him, Miss Amelia would have spent her life alone until old age, so the wise countess had to send the letter on his behalf. The servant also says that he still remembers what he wrote in the report when he was a commander, and when his daughter was born on December 8th, he gave a day off to all 128 knights. But the Count says he took advantage of the opportunity himself. His interlocutor says he has nothing to worry about anyway, since the gentleman is the best husband candidate in the entire empire. The man insists that services cannot understand the feeling of a daughter's legs, yet she simply glows. The Duke's assistant, meanwhile, repeats that he couldn't find a better husband candidate given his manners and pedigree. The protagonist realizes they're chatting non-stop. Well, at that very moment, the Duke gently grabs the lady by the hand and also says that he doesn't know how he can endure it for a whole month. Amelia replies that they've only been dating briefly, so he should consider it a long-distance relationship and would be fine going on dates whenever the opportunity arises. The brunette asks if she's talking about dating, and the girl says, for example, to go to a performance or chat while walking along the lake. Kyle is delighted with this idea, and when the main character sees the expression on his face, he thinks that it reminds her of something, and when the lady touches it, he begins to hear thoughts. The guy says the date sounds great, but thinks they'll have to dig a lake near his property. Amelia thinks that's not what she had in mind. The lady realizes that she seems to have screwed up a bit towards the end, but a week has passed since she has been living in the house of Count Dane. A little while later, Letty is having breakfast with her family, but thinks that after staying in the Duke's mega-luxurious mansion, having to sleep on a broken bed tires her. Her mother says she doesn't look well. He asks if everything is okay. The girl replies that it is, and she thinks she's still shaken by what happened at the banquet. Her father is angry and claims that the Duke dared to do this to his daughter. The lady's mother at this time says that her daughter said that she loves him and maybe it's time to stop treating her like a child, and generally refusing to open gifts from child is bad form. Let him remember those days when they first met. The man is a little embarrassed and asks if she's talking about her question. Would he like a cup of tea? And yet he made his heart explode. The woman says she was so angry when she found out he had to leave after the first cup. But then the woman stops and offers to pray. The protagonist realizes that her mother was quite provocative even in her youth. And since they have already started to sort out their finances, she needs to get a job as soon as possible. To get them out of debt, however, the first thing she will do is buy herself a new bed. At this time, the Duke looks at the plane and thinks that this is excellent because he will have time to do everything before Amelia returns. He'll also name this lake after her. The man also thinks that if Bertie hadn't dressed up as a woman, then these problems wouldn't have arisen. At this moment, someone else is standing next to him. It turns out to be his sister. The woman understands that because of this stupid prince, her Amelie must sit at home for a whole month. At that moment, the two notice each other, and the man asks what Claire thinks and whether Amelia will like the lake. The woman replies that since it will be located behind the garden, it will be beautiful there at sunset, and she heard that the lady likes to walk at sunset. The guy then asks if there are any other suggestions about the woman, and she says that it seems she likes white ducks. A little while later, the main character finds herself in the city and thinks it's great. After all, she managed to arrive there undetected thanks to a magical cloak. Since she had read the novel, Tuya knew that investing is the best way to make money. Hail Time isn't a particularly large newspaper company, and it has no connection with Childs. They promised a good reward if the news column received favorable reviews. The girl comes inside and greets the employee and also says that she came for an interview. But at the same moment, he wonders if she is really the daughter of Count Dane. The main character realizes that this is the same person who sealed the property in her house. She'd heard he'd been fired from the bank, but she hadn't known he was working there now. The man then asks if he really needs to interview her, and the girl replies that she did, and that she'd seen an ad in the newspaper. It said he was looking for someone to write the economics column. The man then stood up and said that then the ice woman would have to take a test to confirm that she was truly fit for the job, not just cross-stitching. The guy puts some papers on the table and claims that this is a test form, so let the Count's daughter, Dana, show what she's capable of. He also says that it's okay if the tasks seem false, as most of the girls in the Empire couldn't handle them, so she shouldn't worry. The main character understands that this test is clearly not for someone who wants to write a column in a newspaper, but he apparently has no idea that she worked hard to earn money for her studies in order to gain knowledge. The man, watching the lady, wonders if she understands what is written there. He thinks that this is nonsense. Even he doesn't understand what's written there, after which he asks the lady if she wants to give herself up already, since he won't tell anyone she came, and will preserve her reputation. However, he doesn't know if the bankrupt Count has any reputation left worthy of defending. Amelia claims that from his words it seemed like it would be difficult. But it turns out that everything is just the opposite. But the lady also apologizes and claims that perhaps for someone it was difficult, but not for her. The girl also sees one of the questions, and the man says that the latter is precisely an indicator of her qualifications, but he thinks this question is beyond Mrs. Ability. The main character then tells him to ask more specifically. After all, Investments are tied not only to the company's core business, but they also need to take into account financial statements to understand the company's income. Her interlocutor asks what this is about, and the girl asks if he thinks that investing is no different from gambling. The main character also hands him a piece of paper to check and touches it. At the same moment, the lady hears thoughts. The man wonders what this little girl is doing and supports child in looking for her. He should have just gotten rid of her. Then the main character sees the guy swinging. But at that very moment, the lady dodges and then pins him to the floor. Amelia insists there's no need for cruelty. After all, she wasn't talking about him. The guy immediately screams for the barbarian to be with him. But the main character replies that he started it and asks why he is so agitated since she was not talking about him. But at the same moment, someone claims that it was he who made this test. When the main character turns around, then he sees a man of completely unremarkable appearance. He turns to Paul and claims that he saw everything, after which he asks if it's okay to treat their guests like that. The man smiles menacingly and says, "Paul is fired." The guy immediately screams out what he's talking about, and the boss will regret treating him like that. The man says that he has no desire to get involved with Paul and dragons. His rivals never got back on their feet after their clashes. Paul gets a little scared by this, after which everything turns around for him and he curses this company. The main character thinks he's being insolent even after it's all over. Meanwhile, the man asks Miss to accept his apology. He claims to be the owner of Hail Time and his name is Albert. Amelia thinks it's best to use a different name to avoid any trouble in the future. The girl claims her name is Anna, and she's happy to meet him. The man then says that the test Paul gave her was not for the position of a columnist, but for analysts. But Miss handled it flawlessly. He also asks the lady if she would agree to become a columnist for High Time. The main character thinks if they are really hiring her and answers that yes, and she will give it her all. A little while later, Lydie returns and thinks she never expected things to end so well. She'll have a fixed salary and a bonus. At that moment, someone grabs the girl by the hand and asks if they can talk. Turning around, Amelia is shocked and realizes that this is the same guy. The prince tells the lady not to worry, as he won't do anything bad. Amelia realizes it's definitely the prince, and does he really think he's disguised himself so well? People start running there and think that since he didn't give his name, it would be better for her to run away from there as quickly as possible. At this time, Bertie asks if she is serious, because he can't run after her because it's her fault. But after this, the main character turns around and says that she has no idea who he is, but asks what he wants. Her interlocutor replies that he cannot tell about it there and suggests going somewhere else. A short time later, the main character is sitting in front of a piece of cake. People realize she's already convinced he'll kidnap her and imprison her in the palace, but it turned out that they came to a dessert cafe, and it was not for nothing that the author portrayed him as a comic character in the novel. The guy claims that the prince asked him to ask her about something, but the main character thinks that he is the prince. The guy immediately slams his fork on the table and asks why Amelia Dine agreed to get engaged to Killian Child. The girl replies that she doesn't understand what the question is about, and the guy says that she is from the aristocracy and therefore should know what rumors are going around about him. And the lady clearly has something in mind. Judging by how she harmed the prince, it's highly likely she married the duke specifically to pull off this little scheme, or perhaps it's all about money. Amelia wonders if he really believes she had some other motive for getting engaged to Kyle. A motive similar to his, since he uses Kyle when he needs money. The main character asks if she can tell the prince's messenger something, to which he replies that yes, she can let the people tell him about their true motives. Amelia claims that the duke is not a thing or a bag of money because he is a person and he has feelings that can be hurt. Bertie is surprised by this, and the girl says that it is wrong of him to consider him a rich monster. At this time, the guy is interested in what she wants to say, that she loves this monster, that is, Killian Child, to which the girl replies that she does. The prince asks if she is telling the truth, and the girl nods and says that he is dear to her. After which, the lady gets up from the table and says that if there are no more questions, she will go. At that moment, the duke was sitting in the same restaurant and heard all this. He realized he had come there to spy on the prince. Well, it turned out that Amelia was there too. He hadn't expected to hear that. The girl always pretended not to hear his declarations of love. However, it turned out she thought of him quite differently. A short time later, the brunette was pacing around his office. Then he grabs his jacket and realizes he can't wait any longer. Kyle thinks he couldn't have visited her but only sent her gifts, because he thought that the Count would not be happy to see him, but he would like to convince her through the window and make sure that the lady was doing well. A little while later, the man finds himself in front of the mansion and asks the gentleman with a bow not to hesitate if the miss invites him for tea. In the Dane family, this course of events is a kind of historical tradition and a plot in which the Count finds his beloved. The brunette at this time smirks and thinks that it's as if he began to reject Amelia's offer to drink tea. At this time, the guy moves on, and looking out the window, the lady thinks she is sleeping. But at that very moment, he sees a girl approaching the window and immediately waves to her, but the main character only turns around and leaves. Kyle is surprised by this and thinks that he imagined that their eyes met. He also wonders if she decided to pretend that she didn't notice him, and maybe he was just imagining it all. So it's time to go back. Well, at that very moment, the brunette hears someone talking to him, and when he turns around, he sees a girl with a smile on her face. Kyle immediately approaches her, and he wraps her in his jacket, asking if she is frozen and why she is not asleep yet. The girl replies that she couldn't fall asleep without him, and that her parents' bedroom is on the first floor, so she had to climb down the ladder by the window at the back of the house, which took a long time. Well, when people look at the guy's face, they are shocked and ask why he is crying. Amelia wonders if he's frozen, but when such a handsome man cries, it looks very beautiful. Amelia also asks if he wants to come in for tea, and the brunette is a little surprised to hear this, after which he replies that he really wants to. When the girl goes inside, she's embarrassed and wonders if she's gone crazy again, repeating the same words her mother said to her father that night. The lady turns to Kyle and says making tea will be problematic because the sound of the water heating up might be too loud. Brad says that's okay, he didn't come there for tea. He also tells the lady that that ladder looks very old and unsafe, so he doesn't think it's a good idea to use it. Amelia replies that she usually doesn't go down it and it was a forced balancing act. How else could she sneak out to meet the guy without her parents knowing? The brunette asks what she's talking about, but the girl only asks if he's cold. The Duke replies that he didn't do much, and then the main character asks why he took off his coat. Kyle lies down on the bed and says that she knows why, after which he invites the lady to lie down. The girl sits down next to him, after which the brunette hugs her and lays her down next to him. He says that they will lie down for only a couple of minutes because he needs to leave soon and otherwise she might have problems if he stays there overnight. At that very moment, the main character hears his thoughts about how he wants to kiss her and run his tongue over her earlobe. And maybe it's just worth doing. The main character immediately rises from her seat. The Duke tells her not to worry because he won't do anything. Amelia wonders if he's trying to hide his true desires. She also understands that she needs to tell him about the styles bestowed upon her by the stone in the ring, after which she claims that Kyle needs to know something. The brunette immediately says that he loves her too. The main character looks at him with a little surprise. The Duke asks if she wasn't going to confess her love, after which he asks if this is not so and asks the lady to continue, and also asks what she wanted to say. The girl understands that because of his confession, she lost her train of thought and no longer remembers, after which the lady lies back down in bed and says that it's okay, it's time to sleep. The brunette then asks if he can kiss her goodnight, and the main character closes her eyes as if agreeing to this. But at that very moment, they hear some loud knock, and at that very moment they both get up. Amelia asks what it was, and the brunette replies that it seems like something fell. At the same moment, they look at each other, showering attention on the fact that this was a staircase. But someone else in the hallway screams, "Has the ladder really fallen?" After all, it's leaning against the room next to Amelia's room. The ladder is old, but it wouldn't just break, so the man suggests his wife go and check. The woman replies yes and asks who dared sneak up on their precious daughter so late at night. The main character immediately tells Kyle to hide. Kyle looks around and then finds a hiding place. At that moment, the girl's parents burst into the room, and the Count and Countess ask if she is okay. The girl gets out of bed and asks what is happening because it is night now. The woman claims the ladder fell, and her husband claims they thought someone had broken into her room. Amelia wonders who would dare climb such a dilapidated staircase, and perhaps it was a cat running past. But it's late, so they should go back to their place. At that moment, the man notices what kind of coat it is hanging on the wall and screams, "Isn't that a man's coat?" The main character realizes she's screwed up. The father immediately asks who the hell dared to sneak into his daughter's room and even take off her clothes. He also hits the door with his sword and shouts that he will personally send this man to his forefathers. Well, at that very moment he hears some kind of sound and the Duke falls from behind the door writhing in pain. The main character immediately approaches him and asks if the Duke is okay. The Count also asks if he is hurt. The guy replies that no and asks him to forgive him for such an unexpected surprise. At the same moment, the lady's father looks at the guy's appearance and the brunette immediately covers himself. And she tells the Count that it was his initiative and that Amelia had nothing to do with it. The main character silently thanks him for covering for her, but now her father considers him a thief. Her father, trembling, asks if he broke into his daughter's room in the middle of the night and then undressed. The main character tells her father it's not what he thinks, but the man claims that everything is fine because he supports her choice of her beloved and will not interfere with them. He desperately goes back to the room and asks his wife where the album with Amelia's childhood photos is. The woman says that he just looked through it yesterday. Meanwhile, the Duke turns to the Countess and asks her to forgive him. The woman, with a smile on her face, tells him not to worry. Her husband is a little upset, but a cup of tea will cheer him up. The main character also cries out to her mother, who only laughs. The woman also tells the Duke to come through the main entrance next time, as they are family. The young man replies that she, a lady, doesn't have to side with him. Well, the woman tells him not to make things up, because she treats her adopted son very warmly, after which the woman leaves, closes the door, and the main character turns to Kyle and asks how he feels. When the lady touches him, she hears how the brunette thinks about the fact that he was called an adopted son and wonders if her mother already regards him as her daughter's husband. The guy immediately turns to Amelia and offers to arrange their wedding preparations as soon as possible. After all, he wants them to become a family as soon as possible. The next morning after the commotion, the Duke had to return to his estate, which he was not happy about. And so, 2 weeks before the end of the so-called test in their engagement ceremony, she came to the child's house. A little while later, someone greets Lady Claire and states that it is an honor for him to meet her, and that today he will try his best to choose the best outfit for her. The woman claims that he will need to select something for Amelia's engagement celebration, so let him try his best. The man immediately says that this lady is famous, after which he kisses the girl's hand. And he also says that he is glad to meet Miss Dine. The man introduces himself and says that his name is Garton and he will also be responsible for her image as Moni's mother and engagement. The stylist asks if she has any specific preferences, and the girl replies that she doesn't really know much about dresses. Amelia realizes the novel didn't describe it in detail. Well, the man tells the girl not to worry and to leave everything to him. He also thinks there's nothing surprising about this. After all, her family went bankrupt and they would not be able to afford to buy their daughter a proper dress. A short while later, the protagonist points to one of the fabrics and declares that she likes it better than the others he's chosen. The man then says that, as the best designer in the entire empire, he can assure her that the fabric in his hands will suit her much better. Well, the lady says that she likes blue and the man said that I have absolutely no experience in such matters, so let her just trust him, because the price doesn't bother her. The main character then grabs the price tag and points out that there's an extra 0 on it. The man replies that she thought there was no mistake. In any case, the Duke will pay for it. Amelia thinks that's how he despises her for not understanding dresses. And besides, he decided it wasn't her who was paying. The main character says it seems he doesn't know. But the stylist must watch her words because she has this ring, although it is too late to fix anything. After which the main character coldly tells him he's fired. The man, shocked, wonders if she really just said he's fired. He also cries out that a decision of this kind cannot be made by Count Dane's daughter. The girl replies that she has every authority to do so, but the man cries out, asking if she's sure. Claire, sitting behind, says that of course she is the future Duchess. The man turns to Lady Claire in shock, and she claims that, as the lady said, he is fired. The man irritably says that, alas, he is the only designer of all who is capable of creating a dress worthy of child's level. The brunette then asks Amelia what the Duke would say in such a situation and let her try to voice it. He understands that if Kyle were there, he would say something cool, and the lady says that it doesn't matter who the best designer is right now. After all, she can bestow such titles on anyone. This shocks the man, after which he leaves completely disappointed. Claire immediately hugs Amelia and says she's a quick learner. The main character replies with a smile on her face that it's all thanks to her. Well then, she says, now that the designer has left, she should choose for herself from the 3 dresses on display. The woman replies that this is nonsense, as there's a whole host of specialists ready to help with the selection. The main character then asks why Monsieur Garten, and the woman replies that it is her fault. Claire realizes that the girl learns to fire people better through practice, and that she will have to pay that ignorant designer. The main character, hearing the woman's thoughts, wonders if she really set this up on purpose so that she could learn. A little while later, the long-awaited day of the engagement ceremony finally arrived. The main character thanks everyone and claims that they made her a beauty. The maids immediately say that the miss was already beautiful and she looks stunning. The girl understands that there is little time left before the ceremony and says that she will go for a walk to get some fresh air. At the same moment, someone in the garden looks around and jumps from one bush to another. Amelia, seeing this, immediately hides behind the building and wonders what the prince forgot there. It is quite natural that he was invited, but why is he behaving so suspiciously? At the same moment, the lady sees the prince putting some letter into the mailbox. Amelia wonders if this is an invitation that indicates a place where only Kyle will show up and they will laugh at him. But then she also thinks whether events are developing too quickly, because according to the novel, this should have happened in a year, and the girl wonders if everything has changed because of her. When the guy leaves, the main character approaches the mailbox. Looking at it, she wonders how to get the letter out, as her hand clearly won't fit inside. At that very moment, the butler appears behind her and asks if something has happened. He also asks if the lady dropped something in the mailbox, and the girl nods. The man tells her not to worry, because everything that is thrown at him moves through the pipes into the office, so the servants will find that it is missing. The girl says that it's wonderful, after which she asks how quickly the letters are delivered to Kyle. The man replies that it depends on the one who sent him, if it is a member of the imperial family. That letter will arrive immediately. A little while later, the brunette approaches the prince and says that here he is. He wonders what this menacing appearance is because it looks like he wants to tear someone to pieces. The young man also wonders if Amelia really told him something, and when the brunette takes out the letter, the prince wonders if this is really what he sent. The Duke tears up the letter, which shocks the boy. Kyle claims he knows. That Birdie perceives him as a money bag, but it doesn't bother him. After which, he even throws the letter at the prince. Birdie is surprised and asks what he's doing. The brunette claims that what he told his fiancée was too much. The prince only swallows after this and also believes that he heard everything. But he and Amelia were just joking. The brunette tells the guy not to be familiar with his fiancée's name and also not to approach or contact her. His interlocutor says that the Duke has simply gone crazy. Well, damn, he claims it. What can you hear now from a person who uses it as a money wallet? It's quite ironic. The prince says it's very rude, but the brunette leans towards him. And he says that the guy knows how the childs conduct business. And if you think about it, what good did he do? The prince feels goosebumps run down his spine. But at that very moment, someone screams out to Kyle. It turns out to be the main character, and the brunette immediately turns around. The prince asks him to wait, and he says that this quarrel concerns only them, so he is interested in whether this will affect the imperial budget. The brunette then asks the prince if he can starve his guard dogs, and if he wants to be one of them, then let him disappear from his sight before Amelia gets there. At that moment, the main character runs up to the brunette and he asks if she was in such a hurry. The girl replies that she heard him there from his voice. Kyle asks if she really misses her. The girl replies that she would like to see the lake. The lady understands that the prince has left, so there is no need to spoil the mood of the wedding celebration. At this time, the brunette agrees and offers to go. And much time later, they find themselves near a beautiful lake. Kyle asks how the lady is, and the girl replies that it is beautiful, so she is interested. Could it really be that they named him after her? The Duke replies that of course and thinks that, thank heavens, she liked it. When they have a child, he will create a lake in his honor with his name. The main character hears his thoughts and silently asks him not to even think about a second lake. The guy once again turns to the lady and claims that this lake will always be there, so she can admire it whenever she comes there, and the brunette asks her not to forget about it. Why did his expression change as if they were going to part tomorrow? The lady wonders why he said this. Let him not worry, because she will always be by his side. But at that very moment, the brunette kisses her. I wonder if the girl agrees to be with him, or if he's dreaming it all. She said she wouldn't leave, so he thinks this is their reality now. Amelia thinks it all feels like it really is a dream. But then the girl also remembers that she didn't ask him about the most important thing, and the lady says that it seemed to him that he was recently talking about something with the prince. At this time, the brunette is wondering whether he should tell the lady about this dog, and the main character thinks that he wants to tell about the dog, not about the invitation. He also claims to be rather curious about what they were talking about. Perhaps it was about dogs. He wonders if she heard it and if she had good hearing back then. He also claims to be thinking about getting a pet. The main character immediately points out that it's expensive and she could take him for walks, wash and iron every day. Well, then the guy says he almost forgot because he's allergic to dogs. The girl wonders if it's an allergy or just jealousy, but in any case, it seems that he didn't receive the invitation. A short time later, the two are already at the engagement ceremony. The Duke tells the girl that she is now his wife. Leia understands that this is how she married the destroyer, and after the wedding ceremony, she officially moved into Duke Child's house. A servant apologized for interrupting her meal, claiming he had received a letter from the imperial family. The main character immediately turns around and wonders if this is an invitation from the prince. Well, when she sees the servant approaching Claire, she sighs and realizes that it is for her. The woman begins to look at the letter and the main character asks, "What is in it?" After which, she touches the lady and hears her thoughts about a banquet for single women where their problems will be discussed, and about this senile old man. However, the genius remains angry as long as Amleia is around. The main character understands that this is an invitation to a banquet for single ladies of the capital, and the woman will certainly go there. Vanessa Maybrand, the protagonist of the novel The Sign of Devastation and the Consequences, was dedicated to all the events simply because she liked parties. And if there's a chance to meet her there, she'll go too. The girl who lives here is convinced that the Emperor is planning a fall, and she'd like to go there with Claire. The woman says that the lady cannot go and she will go alone, but the main character says that she wants to go with her sister. When Claire hears these words, she says that a lady can do whatever she wants, and the main character thinks that this is a victory. Then she turns to Kyle and asks if she can. The brunette apologizes but says no. The main character says that no one will hurt her there because she is the wife of Gilead Child himself, and she will soon become the Duchess of Child, so the girl asks if he doesn't trust her. But she wanted to show off her husband to the other ladies. At this point, the brunette becomes embarrassed and realizes that she called him husband, and also says that since the wife wants it so much, she can go. The protagonist smiles warmly and thanks him. The girl also thinks about Vanessa Maybrand. She realizes that in the novel, the woman is the leader of a top mercenary group called the Aratistes. When the war began, Kyle hired her and she brought the devastation he craved. Since she is the heroine, she was rather disappointed in Aratis and stayed with Kyle, but the main character thinks that it doesn't matter because her marriage turned the story of the novel upside down. However, I still need to meet her at least once. A short time later, she heads to the banquet with Claire. The woman asks if Amleia will wait for her there for a bit, since here she can talk to the old man, to which Leodine agrees. At this point, someone else approaches the girl and asks if she is Count Dane's daughter. The main character doesn't greet her and asks if she is Count Rhine's 18-year-old daughter. The woman then congratulates her on her engagement, and the main character thanks her but claims that she is looking for a lady with long blonde hair. Her interlocutor claims that she heard the Duke gave her a luxurious gift and is interested in whether this is true. Amleia replies that yes, and it is a lake, after which she asks again if she has seen anyone with blue eyes and just like the lake. The woman says that people are probably worried about giving birth to a son since the Duke has given her so much. It's better for her to start now, otherwise Dad will get into trouble. Amleia asks her to forgive her and also understands that by world standards she got married late, although she is only 24. Her interlocutor, he says that they have only just started talking and asks if the lady will tell him what very interesting stories he has about the Duke. The main character understands that at first she did not understand why she was being rude and claimed that she had something interesting to tell Lady Rain, whom no one had ever asked to marry. And now Amleia understands that this girl is in love with the Duke, so the main character asks if she wants to know about their first night together. All the girls immediately become embarrassed and wonder if she's talking about the first night. Amleia claims that evening outside the window, it was cold and also windy. Well, the girl realizes that in fact, she got drunk and attacked him and then lost consciousness. But now she says that evening when their eyes met, everything around them seemed to sparkle and they headed to the hotel. One of them asks if it was love at first sight and the other wonders if they really went straight to the hotel. But when the main character wants to say something else, she notices a girl with blonde hair. She understands that this is Vanessa Maybrand, after which everything goes after her. The aristocrat the main character was talking to screams that she can't just run away without telling the story, and Claire asks the video girl where she's going. At this time, he asks if Claire will tell the story to the end instead of her, because it seems that she saw her friend. At this time, the woman is thinking whether she really needs to tell the whole story while the other ladies look at her expectantly. One of them heads for Amelia and tells her to wait for the owner. She can't just run away. Amelia tells Lady Rain that she has important business, so they'll talk another time. At the same moment, the main character cries out asking for forgiveness, after which the woman turns to her. And he asks if the girl is Count Dane's daughter. Amelia wonders if she has curry eyes instead of blue eyes. The lady at this time claims that she is the daughter of Baron Greshel, named Ariana, and is also pleased to meet him. Amelia replies that the feeling is mutual. Then the blonde-haired fly asks if she wants to ask something. Amelia thinks it's all strange, because the girl's necklace definitely contains the Arita stone, which belongs to Vanessa. And the blonde says that the lady has a beautiful necklace and asks where she got it from. Another lady notices this at this time and wonders if the girl doesn't know about the necklace called Harmony, although this is not surprising since she was forbidden to come to the Imperial Palace until recently. The red-haired lady claims the necklace is a treasure of the Imperial family and that wearing it makes someone look 10 times more beautiful. The main character wonders why Lady Grechel has it, and the girl replies that it's because the Emperor chose her. The main character wonders if this idiot has really gone crazy, if he's really that shameless. Amelia immediately apologizes and claims her question was inappropriate, but at that moment, the lights in the room go out. Some people immediately surround them and one of the ladies asks where the knights are. The other one replies that they are all in the event hall and there are only their armored figures there. Amelia looks around and wonders if there are really 5 of them, but she realizes that her father didn't teach her self-defense that way, so she thinks she can buy herself some time. The girl turns to Lady Grechel and asks her to find a place to hide. Another girl thanks the main character, but at that moment, someone attacks her. Amelia deftly reflects the attack, but when she turns to the girl, she asserts that she didn't say that she would protect Lady Rain, from which she is a little surprised. At that moment, the protagonist hears her interlocutor's thoughts, and he wonders how it could be possible. The necklace is there, but Vanessa is gone. Amelia, shocked, wonders if she can really hear his thoughts only by touching swords. At this time, the knight is thinking who this girl is because they are the only invited erratists. The main character fends off the attack and wonders why they came there. Meanwhile, the man with red hair screams, after which he asks Lady Dane to hurry and put him into eternal sleep. The main character then states that she gives Lady Rain 1 minute to apologize if there is anything to apologize for, or she can tell her at least one reason why she should protect her. The girl then apologizes and claims that her young age is to blame. Amelia insists that she's not much younger than her, so there's no need to erase it. The girl immediately screams that she is sorry, that she will not do this again, and so asks to be saved. The main character understands that she will most likely no longer run into a skirmish with her, but she will not be able to defeat these knights because she is now alone. But the girl understands that she can resort to trickery and claims that she knows that these guys are from the Ereticists. The guy screams out where it's coming from, and the girl understands that this is all because she can read his thoughts. The main character claims that her father is Count Dine, that is, the same legendary commander and the reason for her invincibility. At this point, the conclusion is that her father is really Count Dane, and she steps back a little. The main character, seeing this, understands that she has weakened her defenses, so she can try to knock him down. The girl mentally thanks the guy for setting himself up, and then she hits him in the leg, and then he knocks him to the floor and asks who's next. Another knight immediately runs up to the lady, but when they cross their blades, the man wonders where she learned to fight like that. And maybe she has an Arite stone that helps kill in battle, in which case it will be problematic to defeat her. The main character wonders if this is true, and claims that she is one of the Emperor's close associates who has a rate for battle and that she cannot be defeated so easily. The knights hesitate a bit at this point and then turn around and run away. After this, the main character says that it was simple and thinks that they were saved, and all this thanks to a lie. One of the ladies turns to the Count's daughter and asks if she can call her by her first name from now on. But the main character replies that there is no estate, and no familiarity can be allowed. The other lady at this time claims that they are safe, thanks to Lady Dane. But when the main character looks at the girl, she is surprised and then asks, "Where'd her necklace go?" Lady Gretchel asks what she's talking about, but at the same moment, one of the knights tells the three of them to stay put. He calls all three girls by their first names and nicknames, and then claims that they are under arrest in connection with the disappearance of a necklace called Harmony. A little while later, the main character thinks that who could have imagined that she would again end up in a cell, and even more so under the pretext that she provoked those scoundrels. At the same time, another woman insists she didn't touch the apartment. She'd never seen it before. She also wonders if they really want to accuse her of theft. Amelia realizes that it looks like they arrested everyone who seems suspicious. But when the main character looks out of her cell, she sees blonde hair and blue eyes. He realizes that this is the same girl and then opens the door from his cell. One of the knights tells the miss that out of respect for the Duke, they didn't lock her cell, but a lady isn't allowed to roam freely. The girl replies that she feels uncomfortable because others are treated differently and, apparently, they don't have enough free cells. After which, she grabs one of the people by the hand and says that for this reason, she will share her cell with her. The knight then asks if the lady is okay with it and that he will only need to fill out a form, after which he asks the lady to state her name. The woman claims that she is Anessa Maybrand, and the main character understands that she has been found after all. A little while later, the two are locked in a room and Vanessa asks where all these things came from because it's amazing. She also says that the lady is an important person since everything was arranged for her. Amelia wonders in surprise whether she really just died. But in the original, this girl is modest, kind, and open, so she must have misheard. Amelia asks Vanessa if she would like a cup of tea, to which the girl replies that she should bring everything she has, and that she had already had lunch, and as a commoner, they gave her almost nothing to eat at the party. The main character says that if that's the case, then why is she talking down to her? To which the girl replies, so that her interlocutor can fall over. She says, so that the lady can fall over. There is no concept of hierarchy in prison. Amelia and that they are in a pre-trial detention cell, but her interlocutor only spits something at her, after which he keeps asking how the lady responded. The main character realizes she spat gum at her and gave her the middle finger. But in this girl's place, there should be a good-natured heroine. This blonde-haired woman starts eating cookies from time to time. The main character, noticing this, immediately turns to her and asks what she is doing. But when she touches this girl, she thinks some lady prevented the Aretas from stealing the necklace, and that's just ridiculous. Besides, she didn't get the necklace in the refugee's possession, so she doesn't even know where else to get the Aretas stone. After all, she will only work as a Ratistos until the end of the month, so the whole plan went down the drain, and without a necklace, she won't be able to hook up with a rich, handsome man. The girl also pushes Amelia away and tells her not to touch her because she irritates her. "Hello!" she immediately cries out. "What's wrong with her manners?" She doesn't think the US girl, Vicky, is the main character in the original story, but her interlocutor asks what the point of her manners is if she dies of hunger. Only the rich and aristocrats care about such things. But at that moment, Vanessa grabs the girl by the hand. She sees that the child's symbol is engraved on the girl's ring, and it turns out that Amelia Dine is in front of her. A rags to riches, Amelia thinks she's the one and that this bastard has no chance. Vanessa immediately changes her behavior and asks the Count's daughter, Dinah, excuse me, and also thanks her for sharing the cookies because they are delicious. The girl also draws attention to the lady's hair, which contains chewing gum, and then suggests cutting it off. After all, my hair still needs to be shortened, otherwise the ends are already splitting. The main character is shocked and wonders where she kept the blade. At this time, Vanessa cuts her hair and the main heroine understands that she didn't even give consent. The blonde lady claims that even the lady's hair is beautiful. Well, at that very moment, the girl thinks that since the necklace turned out well for me, she'll work on this rich woman. Vanessa immediately turns to her darling and asks why she was brought there, and also asks to let her fix her hair. The main character just turns away and tells this girl not to call her darling because she fought off the Eurydice while protecting the necklace. But she was arrested on false assumptions. This is a misunderstanding and nothing more, so she will be released soon. Vanessa understands that it was her fault that nothing worked out for her and that it was really the girl who fought off the Eurydice and is in fact not as fragile as she seems. After which the girl completely understands that she will need to suck up and tells Lady Dane that everything is ready. At the same moment, someone turns to Amelia Dine and says that she has a visitor. It turns out it's the Duke, and the man is asking if everything is okay with her. The main character is almost in tears at this point. After which, he jumps on Kyle and hugs her. The brunette asks how she's feeling and realizes that, while he's glad the lady hugged him, Amelia is thinking that she wanted to give Kyle to that snake. After this, the main character turns to the guy again and says that she will never give him to anyone. The brunette replies that he is glad to hear this, but still thinks that she wanted to say that she would not give him to anyone in principle because he is hers forever. All charges against her were dropped, so they can go home and just need to get a couple of papers. However, the brunette then asks what happened to her hair. Amelia replies that there was a minor incident, so now she needs to go sort out the paperwork and go home. The girl understands that Vanessa may be evil, but she can't let the novel's protagonist put the main character into eternal sleep. A little while later, one of the knights suggests that the lady fill out 2 more pages. At this time, the brunette says that he should be taken to the cell where Amelia was while he waited. A little while later, the Duke is brought there, and Vanessa immediately gets up and also says what part to meet with the Duke. The lady introduces herself and thinks how lucky she is, because he may be married, but brothers have a tendency to break up. Well then, the lady thinks why he is staring like that in the presence of such a beauty as her, after which the girl notices the hair on the floor and realizes that he is looking at it. The girl immediately stands in front of this hair and says that, honestly, she is flattered to meet the gentleman. The girl wonders if her beauty has captivated him, but her interlocutor at this time is wondering how the lady dared to do this to Amelia's luxurious hair, and also whether she should be put into eternal sleep. But then, the man thinks that he can't do this because Amelia is kind and won't allow this, and there will also be problems if she finds out about it. The Duke, meanwhile, tells the guard that he has a special request. Vanessa understands that he wants to help rescue her from there, captivated by her beauty. Well, the man just says that this girl should be thoroughly checked, and he is surprised for some reason. The brunette claims he can see through her true motives. Vanessa asks what he's talking about, and the man asks what she did to his fiancé's hair. The girl is a little surprised by this question, and the Duke, leaving, warns her that if something like this happens again, she will not get away with it so easily, so she should not even dare to approach her again. After which he leaves completely, leaving the girl alone. He approaches his wife and asks if she has finished with the paperwork. The protagonist replies yes and thanks him for coming, but the guy insists the carriage is already waiting. Amelia realizes she didn't know back then that the first meeting between the protagonist and heroine in the novel was incredibly bad. A short time later, the main character informs the servants that she will return soon, and the coachman inquires whether the miss is heading straight to the palace. The girl asks if they could stop by the central market on the way. Amelia understands that she is expected to be questioned regarding the missing necklace. Well, she has finally finished with the report for her first column, so she needs to deliver it, and when the lady gets out of the carriage, she states that she will be there soon. The girl realizes that gloves aren't needed to hide the ring, and the cape conceals her identity from prying eyes, and she is now Anna Smith, a journalist. The girl enters the establishment and says hello, but at that very moment she sees a multitude of workers and wonders what all the fuss is about. The leader of the group suddenly approaches Miss Anna and asks if she's finished with the article, as he was waiting for her. The protagonist replies yes, but wonders what's going on. The man replies that there's been a sensation. A jewel of the imperial family, a necklace called the Harmony, has gone missing. The imperial family wanted to keep it a secret, but they received information from an anonymous source who was at the celebration that day. The main character realizes that the secret is no longer such. Surprisingly, its disclosure was only a matter of time, since the emperor, obsessed with women, invited even commoners. One of the workers tells the boss that they can't find anyone who can verify the information and asks what they're going to do. The man asks if he wrote on the players that they offer any amount for the data, to which he replies that yes, he did. He's even willing to sell his shares to cover the required amount, and the main character wonders if they're talking about shares in Hale Times. She then realizes that with that kind of money, she can pay off her debts. She also thinks she needs to figure out how to get the money without revealing her identity. A short time later, she arrives at the Imperial Palace, and one of the workers thanks her for coming and asks if she's comfortable, to which she replies that it is quite so. The man then claims to have had several questions about a necklace called Harmony. Amelia apologizes for interrupting, but wonders if it's really that valuable. She realizes that in the novel she only said it belonged to Vanessa, but seeing the bustle at the publishing house, it seems like it's far more important. The man then smiles and claims that every aristocrat knows about him, and the girl understands that her family was barred from the palace because of debts. The worker apologizes and claims that he thinks there are others who don't know anything about him either, so he asks to be allowed to tell them. He claims this is proof of an alliance with the Kelpmen, a token of goodwill received by their previous emperor from the former leader of the Kelpmen. It guarantees that the alliance will remain in force as long as the necklace remains intact. If the Kelpmans learn of the disappearance, they could use it as a pretext to attack. The protagonist understands that this is sudden, but in the novel, this state was a military nation from the north who destroyed the empire with Kyle's support. Things are getting worse and worse. At that moment, someone else enters the room and asks how the survey is going. This man's name is Earl Gargoyle. The worker apologizes but claims he wasn't able to find out anything, but his interlocutor asks if that's true. The main character wonders why this man is staring. Believe me, his gaze frightens her. The man then turns to Lady Dane and claims that her father went bankrupt after acting as someone else's guarantor. The lands granted by the emperor were seized. Their family was forbidden to enter the palace, and they were probably attracted by the jewel that no one was guarding, and the man also asks what the investigator thinks about this. The main character immediately cries out, "Is he really accusing her without any evidence?" And the man replies that other ladies were asked the same questions, because their goal is to conduct a fair investigation. Moreover, the emperor himself said that he suspects her more than anyone else, and the main character becomes enraged and insists that she did not steal the necklace. The man says that if the lady is truly innocent, then let her prove it by finding the culprit. She has the duchy's unlimited resources at her disposal, and the main character thinks that they have decided to frame her as the culprit in order to take advantage of the duchy's power and find the real culprit. The man says that the loss of the necklace will cause a diplomatic conflict, and the girl understands that the emperor, who gave the necklace to his lady, is to blame. Bruno at this time comes out of the room and says that the lady should not forget that she represents the aristocracy of the empire, and in order to remain so, it is necessary to protect her home. So let her try and prove her innocence. One of the workers immediately turns to the lady and asks if she's okay since Earl Gargoyle showed up so suddenly and acted unethically. The girl thinks that although the investigator likes her more than Earl Gargoyle, it's more accurate to say he likes the Duke's family, not her. The main character says yes, and he scared her with his words, but then she also asks if the investigator could do her a favor. The man replies that of course, he'll give her a message and will be back soon.